Hey, Ed, can you guys hear me clearer now? Do I sound clear? Do I sound clear? Better? Yeah, I'm gonna have to like restart my computer every time before I do a live. I don't know what happens with the mics, but I guess switching it up and down is the only thing I can think of. And it shouldn't do that, but it does. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I guess because I have it on all day. I don't know. It shouldn't though. But we're here now. Hopefully everybody finds it. Because I know we had like 140 people. So I hope that everyone finds it. On with the show. Hey, Jennifer. The other video said, yeah, I don't know what was wrong. Loud and clear. Hey, Ace. Hopefully everyone realizes what happened. I know like regulars like know to look for a different room. Anyone read the filing? I have not. I've been Christmas shopping like all day. Hey, Kim. No, Greg, KK is on a show that I read about in a Gilter's room. Thank you, Tim. Not sure how many more you have in the murder series for 12 days. Can you do it again? I thought about doing it again. I actually watched a really good show today on ID about Gacy. About Gacy. It was pretty good. Hey, Sean from Minnesota. Great time in Australia to watch it live today. Yeah, I know Ed Gain is a big one. So you're gonna ask Kratz about getting pegged. No, I really want to know why he needed that. And the reason why I really want to know is because I was looking up, Marissa's gonna laugh at me because I don't say it right, but the epithelial cells or whatever the fuck they're called, that I understand they're skin cells, but if you look up epithelial whatever DNA, it comes up for pap smears and sperm cells. So that's the most commonly used to extract these kind of DNA cells. So I may be totally reading into this wrong, but I need a DNA expert, and I definitely am not one. Hey, Sean, you found the room. Paul, you didn't miss anything yet. I have to call into the show in 4 minutes. They won't let you do anything until 15 minutes prior. Epithelial, whatever. Ace, I did. I tried to contact Damian Eccles for an interview. He never answered me. Yeah, it was a tech issue. Are you gonna use your real name? Jennifer? Hell no. I will not use my real name. I'm gonna use like Tina or something like that. Yeah, hey Pam, and you caught a good one. What's up, Miss Cobra? I'm glad you met him. He wouldn't even answer me. I was so mad. But the epithelial, if I looked up epithelial DNA and it comes up to pap smears, and not only pap smears, but sperm cells. Like that's the most common extraction of them. Well, now we know where the DNA on the hood latch came from because Ken Kratz wrote in his book that it was epithelial, whatever, cells. Well, why would he use that particular word? Knowing what I know of narcissists, he put a spin on that and they used the ball swab DNA. I guarantee that's what they used on the hood swab. Guaranteed. What's up, Shauna? I ruined it. I don't care. Epithelial, whatever. Teresa from Jersey with a strong Brooklyn sound. Actually from New York. Scotland and Time to Work. What I miss? You didn't miss anything yet. All right, let's try to call in already. See if they'll answer.
Blog Talk Radio. Your show is scheduled to start in 16 minutes.
Please call back within 15 minutes of scheduled showtime.
Oh my God.
Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
The fuck? Thanks, Linda. I can't believe I'm 16 minutes. They want 15 minutes. Come on now. Hey, David from Wisconsin. No, I do. I really want to know why he needed those things. Linda, got to be on the wow.
Blog Talk Radio. Your show is scheduled to start in 15 minutes.
Please call back within 15 minutes.
Oh my God.
Showtime. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio.
It is 15 minutes, you lying asses.
Blog Talk Radio. Your show is scheduled to start in 15 minutes.
Please call back within 15 minutes of scheduled showtime.
Thank you.
You guys hear that, right? Your show start scheduled for 15 minutes. Please call back in 15 minutes. Within 15 minutes. I'm calling in within 15 minutes. Who do you believe is responsible for the case in the West Memphis 3? Ace, I have no idea. I know. I can't wait to hear his voice live. I'm going to try really hard not to laugh. Totally going to try not to laugh. I'm calling Ken Kratz.
Blog Talk Radio. Your show is scheduled to start in 14 minutes, 39 seconds. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
Oh, yeah. All right, we're in line. Can you guys hear it okay? It's as loud as my phone will go. I'm so excited too, Jen. My first question is, I'm going to put all 1 and 3. I want to know why he needed Phoenix. I was going to say my son. Why he needed Hello?
That was somebody else.
Hello? Hello?
"13 minutes until showtime."
Well, that was weird. Hello? All right, I'm going to mute them this time. Yeah, I don't know what that was about. That was weird. It's like somebody's there. Maybe he heard me and he didn't know what it was, so I put him on mute. That's what I'm thinking. That's why I muted my phone so they can't hear what I'm saying. But yeah, that was kind of weird. And the music stopped. But I'm going to ask him why he needed Stephen Avery's ball swab, and most importantly, why he needed Teresa Halbach's vibrator and pap smear. Those are the questions that nobody can answer.
12 minutes until showtime.
Where'd the music go? Nobody's saying anything. I mean, it's still on. I could see it, but nobody's saying anything. I thought the same thing, Jennifer. The guilters that are listening could be like, oh, that's fucking Laura. Well, I heard when Greaseback was on. Oh, by the way, I'll show you guys the letter from Greaseback. He wrote me a letter today that he doesn't think he can do it right away due to the lawsuit. I'll show you guys the letter. I was so pissed. So Marissa's right. Just kind of like, just tell him I'm not even going to ask him about the lawsuit. And I won't. Hello? I don't know where the music.
11 minutes until showtime.
I don't know where the music went. Well, he's. Hello?
Michael?
No, Laura?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Hello?
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Well, yes, I can hear you. Let me bring this little person on from the Los Angeles area code. Okay, go.
Okay, thanks.
Hello?
Hello, this is Lisa. How are you?
Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Pretty good, thank you.
Fantastic. I was actually looking to talk to Ken Kratz.
Well, 10 minutes until showtime. The show starts at 8. He should be calling in any minute.
Okay. Awesome.
Are you a pro Avery person?
Am I a what?
A pro Avery person?
I'm not pro or.
Because he's a guest. He's a guest on our show, so it's you know, we don't want to have somebody calling and abusing him.
Absolutely.
Before the show even starts.
I would absolutely never do that.
But yeah, once he gets on, he should be calling in a few minutes.
Okay, you have my honest to God word, though. I will be nothing but professional.
Okay. All right, great.
All right.
9 minutes until showtime. Oh, can I get your name?
My name is Laura.
Hello?
Hi, my name is Laura.
Laura, okay.
What will
Ricardi?
do, Laura?
No.
Laura? Ricardi?
No.
From Making a Murderer?
No. I wish I was, though.
Okay.
I wish I had her money.
Laura, what we'll probably do, I'm Michael, I'm the producer. What we'll probably do is we'll probably keep you on hold until the show begins, okay?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
And will I be able to listen to the show?
Oh shoot. I put her on hold. I'm quick with that hold button.
I know you are.
I
8
yeah, that
minutes
should be him.
until showtime.
Okay. I'll go ahead and bring him in. Go ahead.
Okay.
Will I be able to hear the show as well?
Yes.
All right, awesome.
I believe
Miss
this
Kratz?
might be. Yes, hi.
Hi, how are you tonight?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. Good. How's the weather in Wisconsin?
Cold. It is. It's always cold here, so there's no getting around that. We just put up with it and move on.
Yeah. I'm in southeast Louisiana and New Orleans. And Michael's in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Oh.
They get more seasons than we do down here.
In a week.
In a week. They might get all 4. And in New Orleans, when it's 50 degrees, people pull out their heavy coats. 7 minutes until showtime. So, but we have a caller on the line from Los Angeles. Her name is Laura. She would like to ask you a question, and once we get the show started,
we're going to give her an opportunity to do that.
Okay.
I have told her and if she can hear me, she can hear me. That's fine. If it's abusive or rude, I mean, she said I'll be professional, but if it's derogatory, abusive, rude, insulting, anything along those lines, it's not going to be tolerated or allowed.
Well, I imagine you tell out to all your callers, so that's all right.
Well, I don't want to spend the entire 2 hours
6
fielding
minutes
calls
until showtime.
from people who want to dredge up your past mistake, your flaws, or whatever that is, because those are not relevant to whether Stephen Avery is guilty or not.
I assume we are going to cover a lot of topics before we go to the phone rooms, but I don't know what your preference
Well,
is.
I thought my preference would be to do that, but I think what we'll do is open the show and then go ahead and let her ask her question and then move on.
Do you think there's only going to be one caller, or is that why you're saying that? Or what is it about this woman that...
Well, there may only be one caller. In spite of being a live show, we don't get a lot of live.
5 minutes until
calls
showtime.
in the first year that we've been doing it. So, I mean, I don't know, Michael, what do you think? Do you think you want to wait? Michael?
Do what? I apologize. I stepped away. I didn't hear you.
Do you want to wait and let her ask a question? Is there any way you can, get on? Can she hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, she can hear you.
Okay.
If you want to, I mean, we've got 4 minutes. If you want to, real quick, I can just let her ask her question before we get started.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go ahead and bring her on now.
All right, great. Thank you.
Okay, Lori, you're
4
with
minutes
Mr. Kratz.
until showtime.
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
So Ken, the only question that I had that I could not get I couldn't figure out an answer to. Now, I have a criminal justice background, but I can't understand what the purpose was when you were getting evidence on Teresa Habach, why you needed her vibrator or her pap smear on a criminal investigation of a homicide.
I can answer that one.
Okay.
Look, okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Kratz.
Well, the only reason that you know about a vibrator in this case is because Zellner put that on her little MAM2. We had an agreement, myself and Mr. Strang had an agreement that would never be made
3 minutes until showtime.
to be disrespectful to the memory of Teresa Habach. What they were looking for was what's called an intimate sample, or a DNA exemplar that they were able to test, a known sample that they were able to test against her blood that was found in the SUV. You see, we didn't have Teresa's DNA at all, despite Zellner and other defense attorneys' claims that we had her DNA somewhere. Where would we have gotten it from? So the only person that had her DNA was the killer, and that was that her blood was around. And so they seized her toothbrush and other things in her apartment to be a source of DNA to test against.
2 minutes until showtime.
But what happened was we had to get a sample that was officially connected to her, and so they got the pap smear as the intimate sample, as the sample used then to to test against the blood and other DNA matches that they had gotten. And again, I am incredibly disappointed that that part of the report wasn't redacted. Again, it was an agreement by the prosecution and the defense not to injure or harm this woman's memory, yet you can see how well that went with Attorney Zellner. So it was put on the screen just for the reason, Laura, that it is coming about right now, to get people to talk about it and to get people to, in
1
some way,
minute
if it does,
until showtime.
to comment on either Teresa's lifestyle or her private behavior. I think it's despicable, and I wish that it would have remained redacted just where it remained, because it's not relevant at all to this investigation.
Okay, but going with that, is that, you said that it was normally like secretive. Is that how it normally is? Because I've, in like all my research, I've never heard of that. So is it normally secretive like that?
Well, it's not secretive. We agreed not to injure this woman's memory by doing that. There's nothing secretive about it. It's not like we were hiding anything. The defense attorney and I had agreed not to publicly discuss it. So, all right, go ahead, Lisa. You want to?
Well, yeah, I just want to remind.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4.
Oh, we have
3,
5 seconds.
2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Did you guys hear that bullshit fucking answer? Like, really, Ken? Did you really expect me to fucking believe that? Oh my God. I am like shaking so many things I wanted to say. I couldn't believe he said that. Yeah, it's fucking Kratz. It's Zellner's fault. Yeah, okay. I know, Spicy. I talked to him finally. If he ever comes back on, they said I'll be able to hear the show. But I asked it before the show started. I don't know if I am. It's a radio station, yeah. But you know what? Maybe if I write him and tell him that was me, maybe he will come on for an interview now. Shweezy, I thought the exact same thing. I was thinking most people get...
Good evening and welcome to Clear and Convincing, the show that looks at criminal cases from the perspective.
Yeah, it's starting now. I'm on mute.
Not the court of public opinion. We're Lisa O'Brien, podcasting from New Orleans, Louisiana, where the Jefferson Parish.
Thank you, Sean.
Is currently working to identify an elf on a shelf who met a tragic end in Metairie on Monday, December 17th, and Michael Carnahan from Little Rock, Arkansas, where you can spend Sunday.
Yeah, we can hear the whole show, Monica. You guys better hit some thumbs up here.
33, State of Wisconsin versus Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey. On October 31st, 2005, photographer Teresa Halbach disappeared after photographing a van at the Avery.
She does sound old.
In Manitowoc County, Wisconsin. Over the course of several days, the case changed from a search.
Oh, you want the number?
To a homicide case.
Oh, I'm like ready to look it up. I can look on my phone. 347-989-1171. All right, let me type it.
Avery claimed that all of the evidence against him was planted by Manitowoc County employees to sabotage Avery's lawsuit against the county, its former sheriff and county prosecutor, arising from
I just did, Marissa.
Rape and attempted murder conviction. We're joined tonight by Ken Kratz, the former county prosecutor who tried the cases against Avery and his nephew Brendan Dassey.
Thanks, Lisa. I'm so excited he spoke to me.
The case against Stephen Avery and what making a murderer gets wrong. We'll be talking about Teresa's disappearance, her murder, the investigation, the evidence against Avery, Dassey's confession.
Lori, I am living the dream. You got that right.
Since the release of Making a Murderer. We're a live show, and as always, calls are welcome. Our phone number is 347-989-1171. 1171.
Shauna, of course I would
And
stay
getting the
professional.
Michael
I'm not a
Kratz.
child. I wouldn't like act like an
And do we still have
asshole.
Laura on the line?
I believe
Yes,
Laura
I'm
is
still
actually
here.
on the hold right now. We actually, our call board here is lighting up. We actually have another call that just joined. But
Okay.
definitely, obviously a very interesting case going on here as far as Mr. Avery goes. Based upon some of the stuff that we already discussed beforehand with Miss Laura, lots of feelings in this thing going forward as far as, what happened and things of that nature. And what should have been left out, what wasn't, things like that.
Thank you, Monica.
Well, as Mr. Kratz said, he and Mr. Strang had an agreement that they weren't going to make that vibrator public, or the fact that they found one, that she owned one. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but I mean, it's an intimate, private thing, and it doesn't need to be broadcast as part
Exactly,
of,
Tim.
a murder case. And I think, as I was about to say before the show started, you didn't have a body. You did not have Teresa's intact body. So you had no blood, no fluids, no hair, nothing that could be used as an exemplar to say this DNA belongs to Teresa Halbach. So you had to go and get the pap smear, and the reason you get the pap smear is it's linked to Teresa, it's kept in the normal course of business, and it has epithelial cells that carry her nuclear DNA. Right. It's one of the few times a woman has a medical examination where that kind of evidence is kept.
Maybe they'll let me ask a lot of questions.
Absolutely.
And
Mr. Kratz.
Mr. Kratz had a comment.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mr. Kratz is on the line, definitely. And if you want to finish explaining that real quick, Laura's still on hold listening to the show now. You most certainly can, Mr. Kratz.
Well, I thank you very much, and good evening, by the way. I suspect your other listeners don't have any idea what we're talking about, because it should have just been Laura and I on the phone. I don't know that everybody was privy to that to that conversation, which also...
The initial... I apologize. The initial conversation was not over the air.
Hey, Candace.
And I apologize. That was...
What? Lisa?
Holla to Candace.
Lisa, I prefer that you not apologize, and it begs the question as to why we're talking about this right now. This isn't part of the case. It isn't something that...
Ooh, he's getting mad.
It's not relevant to the case. We've got 2 hours worth of relevant material, and where intimate samples came from or why we agreed not to talk about them, it certainly defeats the purpose if we're going to sit here and talk about it, right, Lisa? So let's move on to a topic that is more relevant, and please ask whatever questions you want. I'm happy to answer whatever you have.
Damn, he got mad.
As I sent you the outline, let's talk about initially Stephen Avery and his background. Because in Making a Murder, there's a lot of sanitizing, not only of his background, but I think his character in some ways. He was very controlling and violent with girlfriends and wives, and that didn't always lead to criminal charges, but it was behavior that he exhibited. And like it or not, it can be...
I agree, Linda. I would be so much better.
Escalation of violence toward women. So, if you'd like to...
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
What? What the fuck? They cut me. I'll call him back.
Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
In this case, Mr. Avery had some prior, what we believed were relevant...
They did cut me.
...that we wanted to tell the jury about. Those included his prior convictions, his pointing a loaded weapon at a woman when he ran her off the road, including violence towards women, his former wife and his girlfriend at the time, his burning of a cat, which we believed showed his.
Lisa, I would love to go on Sirius XM.
And as you mentioned, we won't go too deep into this, but the precursor to many violence against human cases began earlier in somebody's life with violence towards animals, and so that certainly is relevant information. We believed it to be relevant. Judge Willis, who is the trial judge, disagreed. The trial court denied all 9 of our other acts motions and didn't allow any of that other kind of.
I love how defensive he got.
Information we're talking about Avery having
Cindy.
drawn a diagram of a torture chamber that he intended to build while he was in prison for those 18 years. He had told other inmates that he intended to abduct and to rape and torture and kill young women. And so when he actually did that, the fact that he announced...
He does sound like a blabbering idiot. I agree.
Years earlier in the Wisconsin prison system seemed very relevant to the state. But again, the court did not let that in. Avery also, while he was in prison, told other inmates that the best way to dispose of a body is to burn it. We believed that was relevant under the circumstances, and that wasn't allowed into evidence. And so the kind of extraneous or
I agree, Renee.
Information.
No, Cindy, he didn't.
About Mr. Avery was pretty much
because my cell phone is in California, so they think I'm calling from LA.
That ruling, I understand why courts tend to do that. They want a decision of a jury based upon the evidence that's presented, the relevant evidence on the case that they're being charged with, and of course, there's a risk of bringing up prior information and prejudicing a jury, or at least having a jury give undue weight to those other kinds of behaviors that really don't talk about what happened on the 31st of October 2005. And so the court kept us very focused on what it was that we were to present, and that the jury then decided the case really on very relevant and only evidence that was associated with.
Oh, they'll be thrilled if you jam their phone lines. Totally thrilled.
A Boy Scout. He did have that past. He did and did quite clearly exhibit violence towards women. His former wife, his former girlfriend.
Stephen was acquitted, Jeremy. You are correct.
They were lucky to have left that relationship.
Big
alive,
psychobabble.
And that they believed that if they stayed in that relationship with Mr. Avery, that they would have been met with harm or worse, having come to them. So
2 hours of Voive. That was good, Edward.
Portray this guy as being.
He won't last 2 hours.
Or not being violent is really a disservice to all that we've learned about Stephen Avery. That the filmmakers believed that they needed to kind of clean this guy up or clean up.
I don't even remember what he said. I mean, he's been rambling so long.
The audience would be able to accept their presentation, accept their narrative that they presented about Stephen Avery. That is that he was unjustly accused and
thanks, Candace.
For this murder, and I think that's a shame that they did that.
I don't even remember what the question was.
Doing it to make it look like he's been unjustly accused his entire life, and the cops were always out to get him. So yeah, that's quite transparent. In fact, even more transparent in Making a Murderer than it was in Paradise Lost, which was about the West Memphis 3. So, and they want
viewers to relate and sympathize with him. And now, do you know anything, and you may not, what was his role at Avery Salvage once he came back in 2003? Was he running the show? Was he an equal partner, or was he just...
No, he worked for, I believe his brother, Chuck, was the main proprietor. But the other brother, Earl, worked at the salvage property. Certainly, the mother and father helped out. It was a family business, like many family businesses, and everybody kind of pitches in. And Stephen was employed, I believe, on a full-time basis at the salvage yard, and did everything from crushing cars to other things that would happen at a salvage yard. So, it was not only the place that he lived, this compound that all these family members lived on, but it was
that's funny, Deborah.
Their place of employment. But you also have to realize, Lisa, is that this was an active,
Every time I laugh, I'm laughing because I'm reading your comments.
All the time. And so when I get asked questions like, why didn't Avery crush the car that they had...
No, his voice actually sounds deeper.
Earlier, that it would have been easy to just have crushed it and not all this evidence would have been found, and that's true.
We are the only listeners.
When you realize that Stephen didn't have an opportunity to crush the car.
I know Gilters are listening.
Saturday, the 5th of November, 2005, he and other family members had gone up north to a family cottage, and he was scheduled to return the afternoon of Saturday, the same afternoon, the same day, I should say, that the vehicle was found by citizen searchers in the Avery salvage yard. And so the simple answer is he just didn't have an opportunity yet to have crushed the car. If this car wouldn't have been found that morning by the citizen searchers, that is the morning of Saturday the 5th, he very well may have gotten away with murder. And so that's something that we thought of a great deal. That became very...
I agree, Peterson. He's just, I don't even remember what the question was.
And as I understand it, and I could be wrong, you can't put a full car into a crusher with the engine and all the interior and everything in the car. That works in the movies, it works on TV shows, but it doesn't really work in real life. You're supposed to take the engine block out, tires and things off, because if you try to crush an intact car, it's not going to work very well. So there's a process you have to go through, draining the fluid.
Thanks, Ace.
All those things, and he didn't have time to do that.
Two of the other things that you have to do,
none of that had been done.
You have to take the battery out. You have to take the gas tank out, and so there is prep work that is required. It isn't, as you've said, just a quick thing. But he was prepared to do that, and he was all set. In fact, he had crushed 2 other vehicles. Stephen had crushed 2 other vehicles 2 days earlier, on Thursday, the 3rd of November, and those 2 crushed vehicles.
You wish I caught that too. He made a point to say the battery
placed on top of it. We believe that was to be the SUV of Teresa, and then maybe another car or 2 on top of that, kind of a car sandwich, if you can kind of picture that, how these crushed cars are.
You guys better smash that like button.
In the middle of several other crushed cars, it may very well...
I don't have a link, Marissa. Oh, actually, you know what? I might.
Having been the wiser. And so that's why I mentioned that it was such a fortunate event that Teresa's SUV was found at about 10:30 on Saturday morning, the 5th of November.
Correct. And then on Brendan Dassey's background, I mean, there's not a whole lot. He was born while Avery was in prison.
That's right.
So he wouldn't have even met Avery, and I think Bobby as well.
Yeah, but only until Stephen, got out of prison in 2003, and so Avery.
Thanks, Beans.
Developed a close relationship with Brendan Dassey, his nephew,
He and Brendan would do a lot of things together. He was somewhat of a mentor, I believe. The evidence showed to Brendan. They would hang out together, and he would invite Brendan over to help him when he had chores or other things to do. We know that on October 31st, he invited Brendan over, that they cleaned the garage together with a lot of bleach and a lot of other fluids, cleaning up what Brendan described as a dark, reddish brown liquid on the garage. We know that all.
KK for dummies. I love it.
That the bleach that was used to clean the garage was splashed up onto Brendan's jeans, which he turned over to law enforcement, which law enforcement seized. They talk about there not being any physical evidence.
Is anyone recording this? Because I didn't.
Brendan's involvement.
I guess it's recording here.
Jeans that he was wearing that had all this bleach splashed on it, which both he and his mother identified he wore that evening. That is the evening of Teresa's death on the 31st of October. Did show that that bleach was all splashed on it. And so that and other things corroborated very well what it was that Brendan had told the officer.
I know. I don't know. I was just thinking like audio recording.
Correct. That is something that's not, the genes are not mentioned. I think maybe mentioned in passing one time, but not connected to his statement.
I'm not so sure she's a guilter.
So, there's that. And then when Brendan acknowledged that Stephen had gone under the hood of the car or the SUV, that officers thereafter, this is into the spring of 2006, they swabbed the hood latch of the SUV, and of course they found Stephen Avery's DNA on the hood latch. The reason
Love you guys too.
Doesn't ever even address that in their first season is because they didn't have an answer for it. It doesn't fit their narrative. There's nothing about this Stephen Avery's being set up or that he's a nice guy. There's no way to explain how his DNA got underneath a car hood. Again, you can only get to that hood latch if you're on the inside of the SUV and you pop the trunk with the latch release. And thereafter, you have to reach up underneath the trunk, the hood, to get to that hood latch. And so the fact that Avery's DNA is on that hood latch, since it couldn't have been planted from the outside, it isn't something that you can, that you can just walk by a vehicle and plant. You have to manipulate and open up the hood, and thereafter the DNA is deposited. So it didn't fit the narrative of Miss Riccardi.
You did, Christabel. You missed me talking to Kratz.
Making murder, they only mentioned it in the second season because it had gotten so much criticism, and of course, Attorney Zellner has come up with an explanation.
I did piss him off. Now he's not going to take calls. Watch. No, I didn't piss him off. I was respectful.
Somebody planted it.
Thanks, Shauna.
Yeah. It's a silly.
I did, Krista. It was great.
That Uyghur may have held on to a groin swab for 5 months, just in case somebody someday would have.
They would need his DNA for something else.
Yeah, well, it's just crazy. It's just a nonsense, kind of a claim, and if it wasn't such a serious case, it would, of course, be laughable. It isn't something that cops grab swabs and hang on to them for months, especially non-Manitowoc County police officers, at least if the defense attorneys were to be believed,
right,
that it was only Manitowoc that had any kind of an incentive, any kind of a reason to plant evidence, not the state, not Calumet County, not other officers that were involved. So it really is inconsistent with their theory that it was the police having a reason, a motive.
See, what's interesting though, Renee, and I didn't think of this. He's talking about the inside of the car, but I don't remember them saying there was DNA on the inside of the car when he popped it from the inside.
To make up this evidence. And so once you realize that those things are only made up by the defense attorneys well after the fact, when they sit down and say, well, what kind of possible explanation could we come up with to explain that his DNA is on the hood latch? If the very
I agree,
best
Cindy.
they can come up with was that maybe Uyghur held on to a grain swab for 5 months, and then he snuck that in when the evidence tech wasn't looking.
Shauna, that's what I'm saying.
At the swab shows you just how incredibly weak that argument is, and that they will say anything, in my opinion, in which to convince people, rather than the obvious that Avery touched that hood latch, they would come up with this fantastical conspiracy theory that includes not only Manitowoc cops, but Calumet cops, state cops, at least a couple of prosecutors, at least one judge that we know of, that they're claiming were all conspiring in which to set this poor guy up for this murder. And again, nobody other than what they mentioned from a Manitowoc officer perhaps would have had any motive to do that. You know, cops just don't go around killing innocent 25-year-olds just so they can set somebody like Avery up for murder. You know, I would never have risked my career for some scumbag like Stephen Avery, and I can't imagine any police officer would do the same thing. So it's really insulting when defense attorneys come up with this nonsense.
Don't worry, Ken. Nobody thinks you did it.
And the number of people involved, it just keeps growing and growing and growing. It was Colburn and Lentz, and now it's Blank. Excuse me. And now it's Uyghur. And pretty soon, I'm sure Miss Zellner will come up with something.
Nope, it's just Kasorik.
And look, they already have. Yeah, they did. They've already blamed. They blamed everybody but Stephen Avery for this murder. Stephen blamed his own brothers at one time.
Correct.
As the real murderers, and then we hear that Bobby Dassey must be the real murderer, or Scott Taddick must be the real murderer, or ex-boyfriend Ryan Hilgers must be the real murderer. It gets to the point, Lisa, that you just shake your head and you say, they will blame anybody without evidence. They will abuse this system that's been set up for post-conviction relief to blame anybody they can, to disparage good cops and good prosecutors and others.
I know, because Zellner's such a horrible attorney. Get the fuck out of here.
I think it's a travesty. I think it's despicable. I think it's the kind of lawyering that people in our country despise. That is, lawyers just make things up to kind of fit the evidence or to kind of advance their narrative.
That's funny, CP.
Legal system where there was evidence that was necessary, that there was real proof necessary, and not just allegations.
No, Kratz, you're just a puppet. Kasorik just pulled your strings.
And I think Zellner's cut from that exact same cloth, that you just make all these outrageous claims.
Exactly, Tim.
You see what sticks. You see what people believe. Well, when you're talking about killing a young woman and you're talking about accusing people of being involved in a murder, that's not good enough. You don't just say things because it might sound good or might be a desperate publicity stunt. You better have some evidence when you're accusing people of having committed a murder. You better have something other than your elbows to put on the table when you're making those kind of accusations. And Zellner, we know, has none of it. She has zero evidence, zero new evidence, zero old evidence, zero any kind of evidence that would suggest anybody other than Stephen Avery was involved. And I hope someday she's very much held accountable for what she's done to these people that she's.
Oh my Lord!
Correct. And there's a scene in Making a Murderer 2 where she and her investigator are talking about actually trying to more or less coerce Scott Blodorn into talking to them, because he doesn't want to talk to them. And I think people don't realize you don't have an obligation to cooperate with a defense attorney
That's true.
trying to free someone who's been convicted of murder. And yet they try and make it seem like he has an obligation to help them.
She is right, though.
Otherwise, they're going to drag his name through the mud. Those weren't their exact words, but that's the that's the inference that I drew from it. And I'm sure you're probably familiar with Alstory Simon, who was actually coerced into making a false confession by an investigator working to free a guilty man.
Right. Well, that go ahead.
So that's it's
Oh my God, he's letting someone else speak.
Especially when they claim to be doing it for the good, and they're doing the same things they accuse police of doing.
Right. So many of the tactics that was used, just for your listeners' edification, there was a person in Illinois who was convicted of a double homicide. His name was Antonio Porter, and he was sentenced to death when they still had the death penalty in Illinois. There were a bunch of
It's a radio show, Christabella.
journalism students
A small radio show out of New York.
School, under the direction of one of their professors, his last name was Protest, who accused another person of having committed a murder that Mr.
I don't know. It's some
Zellner was
podcast.
being
Let me.
prosecuted for. They presented evidence, if you can call it that, to the court.
Here's
And
the
they
link
wanted
again.
Mr. Porter his freedom. It turned out, though, that when they did just a modicum of investigation into what happened, that it was clear that they had coerced a man from Milwaukee, whose name was Alstory Simon, into confessing to this crime. They had promised him money and book deals and other things. They had encouraged Alstory Simon's ex-wife to have said that she knew that he was involved in the case. They got an actor to pretend on.
I know, right, Tanya?
Witnessed Alstory Simon do this, and they used this fake interview and showed that
Craigie's TT Manitowoc.
in order to coerce him into making these statements. And all this is chronicled in a
Yeah,
documentary
Ziggy.
called A Murder in the Park. It's on Netflix. It's something that I would encourage your listeners to watch. It introduces, I think, the first time that I've seen it, this concept of innocence fraud. That is when defense attorneys or innocence projects,
Awesome, Jeremy.
or anybody kind of on that side of the aisle, when they get together evidence, true or not, and they present it to a magistrate.
I'm just so excited that I was so calm, I was so professional, and I still got under his fucking skin.
Those things that might comment or bring doubt to a conviction. Governor Ryan at the time, and just completing the Alstory Simon case, before he even...
Marissa, that might be because I was on prior to the show starting, and I was like the first caller.
Governor Ryan...
That's probably why I got on. Thanks, guys. I'm on. I mean, I'm on hold. I'm on hold just like you guys.
Governor Ryan used to abolish the death penalty.
I asked him why that I have a criminal justice background, and I don't understand what the point was of getting her vibrator or a pap smear. Like, I've never heard of that in any criminal background case. And he was very nice for like the first 5 minutes. But we were talking off air. And then when it went on air, she wanted him to finish the conversation, and he got all bent out of shape. And he was like, no.
He was released altogether.
Thanks, guys.
Like that are so difficult for the justice system to keep track of, because after a case is over, there aren't the original prosecutors anymore. There people that know the evidence, inside and out, as you would need to do to.
But I mean, you guys know me. I'm not gonna like come at him like a fucking lunatic. That's not my personality. I wouldn't do that to the show.
Some students had to misrepresent.
That's what I said. Sean and me and Marissa said that. Let's raise a fund.
Exonerated was just too easy.
His voice is actually better than it usually is.
And to only present some deceptive facts and get this guy released.
My other question is, how did he take out a battery, open the hood latch without having any DNA or anything on the stick that holds the hood up? How do you disconnect the battery if there's nothing else in there?
Investigations are looked into, that these things are done correctly. These convictions, a great deal of time and energy is put into building those cases and to presenting them to a jury. And as I mentioned, it's such a disservice to the families of the victims and to the whole justice system, really, if something as easy as a stroke of a pen by some leaning governor or somebody who simply wants to cure a perceived wrong that's done.
Oh, the other thing actually even better. What I want to ask him is something I learned today, is that I was watching the show on John Wayne Gacy, and they were talking about before 1976, the only way to identify human remains were through teeth. So I was thinking, all right, so if somebody burns somebody, that's it. That's it. Like, there's no way to identify them, according to Kratz's theory. So I want to know, since calcium doesn't burn, how come only half of her tooth was found? That's my other question that I really want to know.
Without a search for the truth, but simply advocating for one side or another. In this case, advocating for the person who's on death row, and too often, I think, political considerations or something.
Amber, nothing. He's still rambling the same damn question.
To achieve these pardons or these executive clemency cases, and I think it's a high time that this whole concept.
Thank you, Joseph.
Innocence fraud be looked at on a larger scale. And I hope that in the years to come, there's going to be a lot more attention and a lot more care taken as we now see, unfortunately, some lawyers and some activists have demonstrated a willingness to provide knowingly.
Yeah, he's just. I don't even remember the question.
To achieve somebody's exoneration. I don't have any qualms at all saying that's exactly what Kathleen Zellner appears to be doing. She appears to be presenting.
Spicy, I'm laughing at you.
To be knowingly either false information or evidence that is not complete at all when she now presents it as having established or gone anywhere to establishing that Stephen Avery was wrongfully convicted. He was not. There is no evidence that points to that. I think any fair-minded legal analyst.
And guys, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe so you know when I do crazy shit like this, because I do it often.
All based on junk science.
We are a great family here. Come join us.
Lies at the worst. And as I mentioned speculation in your show, well, as I mentioned, it's high time that attorneys like Kathleen Zellner be held accountable for these kind of outrageous claims that they're made, and that when they're unsuccessful and they're just kind of allowed to kind of traipse off into the wilderness and nobody calls them on it, it's not going to happen in this case. What's going to happen is that her claims are going to be analyzed. There's too many people watching. There's too many people that know the facts now for her to get away with this. And I don't think we've heard the end of the criticisms that justly would come down on
Llama, that's funny.
Hopefully, your mouth to God's ear. I mean, some of it is unethical, at least in my opinion. And that's, I wish there was more that could be done with, Illinois bar. Of course, I know Illinois bar, I mean, you can kill somebody and probably not be disbarred. They're not.
That's not true at all.
Enforcement.
I have no information about the Illinois bar, and so we'll see whether it's the bar association or a court that she has made these claims in front of. The Wisconsin court, she filed this 1,200-page motion, and the Wisconsin court took but 7 pages to throw her out of court, saying this is all nonsense. None of it is new evidence. It certainly isn't anything to even get you.
Did you guys hear that?
A new trial on the case, and so I'm not sure how many times Kathleen Zellner needs to be thrown out of court before people start seeing.
No, he said Wisconsin court only looked at 7 pages.
Correct. And another topic that I wanted to cover with you, when you talk about people being held accountable with making a murderer and making a murderer 2, there are people who are being held accountable and harassed and threatened, including yourself.
I can't believe it.
Even do because of the perception that making a murder gives of you and Sergeant Colburn, Lieutenant Link, Mr. Fassbender, Mr. Wiegert. I want to talk about
Miss
that.
Kruger, that's what I'm saying. He said it took 7 pages to throw her out of court. They didn't read any further.
Villains, and they made a editorial decision to cast myself as a villain. They blame me, even in the
about you, Ken.
I'm the one attorney not involved in the case anymore. I'm not doing any of the appeals. I'm not working on the case.
Tiny, it was only 8 pages. He said 1,200.
Are still involved heavily in the case. Mr. Strang and Buting are being criticized by Attorney Zellner now as being so incompetent, such incompetent defense attorneys that they didn't even provide the lowest level of assistance. They were paid apparently $240,000 by Mr. Avery, and Attorney Zellner is claiming that they didn't even do as good a job as a public defender or or another lawyer who wasn't getting that kind of a paycheck would have done.
That's funny.
These were 2 of the best defense attorneys in Wisconsin. They remain 2 of the best defense attorneys in Wisconsin. They have been applauded and hailed by all kinds of legal experts on the job that they did in this case. And for Attorney Zellner then to say, you were so incompetent that you didn't even provide this man a competent defense.
Bitch, you're suspended for being a fucking attorney, and you're talking shit about Zellner.
To which this attorney will go to blame everybody but her client. They've blamed everybody for the offense, and now they're blaming all the lawyers. They blame the prosecutor. They blame the judge. It's laughable that they'll throw everybody under the bus rather than look at the uncontroverted physical evidence.
I agree, Rob.
Like Teresa's phone and camera and PDA have been burned by Stephen Avery in his own burn barrel. That's never mentioned once in Making a Murderer 1, never mentioned once in Making a Murderer 2, still not mentioned by Zellner, still has no explanation.
Thanks, Pam.
All of these other people have set this up. How was it that Teresa's phone and camera burned in Stephen's own burn barrel when he was the person observed by 2 witnesses on the 31st of October burning in that very own burn barrel? How do you explain her camera and her PDA and her phone ending up burned in that burn barrel? Because they don't have an explanation for that, Lisa, what they do is they just ignore it. They hope that
I can explain it.
The audience won't know those facts. They won't realize that they have been denied seeing one of the most important pieces physical evidence that points to Stephen Avery's guilt. But what they choose to do is simply hide that from the audience. When you realize that they are willing to hide that kind of evidence,
Oh my God.
audience, anybody who watches, any of the purported 40 million people who watch this should be really, really angry.
Exactly, Ziggy.
Or not as lawyers, but they should be really angry at these filmmakers for having fooled them. You know, it's easier, much, much easier to fool somebody than to convince them that they've been fooled. And so what's happening in this case is...
Smash that like button.
40 million people have been fooled, and I'm trying to convince all these people that they've been fooled. I provide trial transcripts and solid evidence. And
Oh, I agree, Cindy. I think he's totally nervous.
Still, millions and millions of people would rather believe that all this evidence was planted, or that law enforcement conspired against this guy to get him to be convicted of murder, when in fact there's all this evidence.
That's funny, Rob. I hope KZ hears this too.
Deceptively edited piece of entertainment in history, at least those that call themselves documentaries. It is so deceptively presented as to have almost no reality to what was presented to the jury in these cases. You know, many of the media folks that sat through the original trial said when they watched Making a Murderer, they thought they were looking at a different case. It even looked like the same case that was being presented.
Oh my God.
So deceptively misrepresented for the audience. And it's a travesty. And not only did these filmmakers not get called to task for these shenanigans that they pulled, but they were given 4 Emmy Awards for having created this, including one for what's called creative editing, which I think is the biggest insult to injury that you could.
Of course, Crazy Noodle.
Why isn't the documentary film industry itself screaming foul? Why aren't they saying you can't lie to people? You can't present evidence that's simply made up out of whole cloth. Yet they seem to protect their own. They don't want to call out these filmmakers for whatever reason. They simply want.
It's all a conspiracy, Ken. Everybody's against you.
To be skated through as a documentary, and again, I'm hoping.
Candace, I am.
Process is completed, that it will be the filmmakers and will be those that involve themselves in the creation of this farce to be accountable for all of the innocent lives that they've now destroyed. And I lost the law firm in the process. Andy Colburn lost his good reputation.
No, they are taking more calls. He wants to take them at the end after he speaks. I just got really lucky, and he took my call before the show started.
Under the guise of entertainment, all under this
He's still answering the first question from an hour ago.
Was a film student at the time that they.
Rob, I'm not hanging up on him. A lot of you guys are waiting on hold. I wouldn't hang up.
This project that makes it look like this poor man was wrongfully convicted. That we know now is not true. And I'm telling you what, Lisa, there's a lot of people that are owed some very big apologies by these filmmakers, and I would say by Netflix and the entire documentary film industry for having allowed or having condoned.
I think he's just plugging Colburn's lawsuit
of documentary filmmaking, where outright lies are told to the audience in which to get across their narrative. I think it's a shame, and I hope again.
Lawyer trolled before we even trolled him. What do you mean?
I've seen other documentaries that are. You know, Werner Herzog is very open. He says, I don't believe in the death penalty. And so his documentaries about those issues and criminal justice issues are, you know what you're getting into. But he at least does make an effort to be somewhat objective, because he does give both sides equal time.
Transparent at the very least. Yeah.
And doesn't editorialize.
Who's she talking about?
You shouldn't tell the audience, whether it's whether it is explicitly or even implicitly, that what you're watching really happened. How do you do that, Lisa? Mm-hmm. How do you splice together trial testimony that never happened?
It's called editing, you fucking idiot. It's how you make a movie.
Stuff happen. How do you do that with a clear conscience? Right. And then when you're called on it, you just say, well, it's just entertainment. That's what we get to do. Well, that's a bunch of crap. You don't get to do that. Yeah. You don't get to lie about innocent cops and prosecutors and citizens just to advance your story. That doesn't work out. There's consequences for that kind of behavior. And again, eventually we'll see what those consequences are.
And I think there are a lot of activists, and there seem to be more and more.
No, Christabel, he didn't.
The ends justify the means.
Right. Well, that was certainly the old story, Simon.
It's some small local New York radio show.
The ends there were to abolish the death penalty. That was their stated intent, was to go after death penalty cases, and they hit the jackpot with Porter's case in getting the entire sentence of death penalty abolished by this governor after having presented what was deceptive and, in fact, possibly knowingly false information in order to achieve that end. I think it's clear that these activists will adopt that anything goes attitude. I think Zellner said, "I'll never stop. I'll do anything to get this guy exonerated." So when an attorney tells you, "I'll do anything to achieve this end," you better look very, very closely at what it is that they're.
I'm on mute.
So,
yeah, I have mute on. Thank you, Anthony.
Since we're discussing the making of murder and some of the allegations they've made, we're going to move on to Avery's 2004 civil suit, which was filed, a civil rights violation suit filed in federal district court by Avery against Manitowoc County, former Sheriff Dasoric, and former prosecutor Dennis Vogel, alleging violation of his constitutional rights from his 1985 conviction for a rape and attempted murder that they knew or should have known he did not commit. And we know he was asking for $36 million, but it's pretty unlikely that he would have gotten $36 million. He probably might have gotten a couple million.
Well, you can ask for whatever you want. That doesn't mean that.
That doesn't mean you're going to get it.
That's your point. I read an article recently, and I don't know that much about after exoneration cases, but I understood that there weren't any awards anywhere that called for anything more than $1 million per year, even when
he didn't hang up on me, Tanya.
To give Avery, $2 million for the 18 years. Of course, what you have to realize is the first 6 years that he was incarcerated was for a crime that he did commit. That was the endangering safety. That was the pointing the loaded firearm and running that woman off the road. He got 6 years for that. So, because that was being served concurrently, meaning at the same time as the attempted murder conviction, you can say, and you should say, that those 6 years were for a legitimate crime, that it was the last 12, which is still horrible. I'm not trying to make excuses, but at least be honest when you say he spent 18 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. Well, that wasn't true at all. The first 6 years was for a crime he did commit.
Okay, so he spent 12. The hell's the difference between 12 and 18?
What happened? It was for the 2 years that would have been over and above the endangering safety sentence, and Stephen Avery was entitled to compensation for having his constitutional rights violated. You know what's so interesting, Lisa, is that the two cops who are being accused of wrongdoing, Jim Link and Andy Colburn, were both of the opinion that Stephen Avery should recover money from that lawsuit. They didn't care if Stephen Avery recovered money. It wasn't their money. In fact, they both said he should recover money if he was wronged, and they did that.
If
But
he's
not that
wronged?
close to this this hatred
Conspiracy.
that they wanted to impart from Colburn and link onto.
I agree,
onto Avery.
Steve.
None of that happened. They got along just fine with the Avery family. They had used the Avery salvage yard to buy parts.
Oh, that's a fucking lie.
They used their wrecking service. You know, they had worked with the Averys. They knew them very well, and it wasn't something that they at all were trying to set up one of those family members.
I agree, Crazy Noodle.
To do that. In fact, their first opinion was that Stephen Avery's not involved in this crime. Andy Colburn told that to other investigators, that they believed that when they were looking at Stephen Avery and maybe involved in this crime, that Stephen, in his opinion, was not involved, that they should be looking at some other people for the commission of this crime. That tells you all you need to know about the real attitude of Andy Colburn, and that he did not.
Ziggy Kratz can't do any kind of law.
Close to trying to set this guy up for murder.
Correct. And I think it's also important to point out, neither Mr. Colburn or Mr. Lank were even employed in Manitowoc County in 1985.
Right.
Mr. Colburn was in the Air Force, and Mr. Lank was.
Good night, Greg.
Police officer in Detroit. They weren't even. They weren't even involved, much less, that they wanted to try to shore up that investigation. Lincoln Colburn were asked to perform.
Oh, totally. Thanks, Dan.
That's why those two were needed on the scene, at the scene. In fact, there was a third officer that helped them. But the reason Colburn and Lincoln.
Hey, James, you missed it. I spoke to Ken.
No connection.
And I made him mad.
And no connection to his previous case. So that's why they were chosen, ironically, to have been evidence section in the case, because they had no animus, or they had no potential connection to Stephen Avery at all. And so it's kind of interesting that the defense attorneys back in the original case, and then the post-conviction attorneys and the filmmakers would have chosen those two as the guys to blame as having, created all of this. To
Marissa, there you are. I didn't know where you guys went.
Can't be further from the truth. They picked the two nicest and most law-abiding, most honest cops that they could have chosen.
James, you have to watch it. But I asked. I was the first caller, and I was on early. And I spoke to him, and he took my question, and then he got really mad when she tried to talk about it on air. It was good. It's like in the first couple of minutes of the video.
They were never involved in any kind of misconduct.
Aww.
Nor was anybody else involved in the case. Yet you would have thought
tonight made my whole miserable day better.
At the worst, a bunch of Keystone.
Maybe my dad from above was looking down and made me the first caller.
To set up this innocent man. That's just furthest thing from the truth that you can find.
It's like Manitowoc County is chaos from Get Smart.
Well,
that's kind of the impression that I got. And you made a very interesting point in your book.
Oh, please.
Which is excellent. No matter what side of the fence you may be on, please read Mr. Kratz's books. Avery.
She doesn't even know the name.
Long title: The Case Against Stephen Avery and What Making a Murderer Gets Wrong. I love that you organized it into pieces of evidence, and then
he lied.
Information about each piece of evidence. I've never seen a true crime book arranged in that way, and it made it easier to get the whole picture about one piece of the puzzle than to go through the entire book. So it's almost like a brief. I'm sorry, you arranged it. It's brilliant.
I arranged it so that, in fact, I mentioned in the first chapter, I believe, that you don't have to believe anything I say. In fact, I don't want people to believe me. This isn't something where it's Ken Kratz telling you all these things. I back everything up in that book with either police reports or evidence that was presented.
Oh my God!
Trial,
no, it wasn't, Ken.
Most of the time, or at least those that could be proved in a court of law. And so when I presented or lay it all out by pieces of evidence, and what you're talking about is I discussed the key, and then I discussed the bones, and then I discussed the blood and other things that were found. It's an easy way, I think, to catalog the evidence and to present it. You couldn't present a jury trial that way because things come in bits and pieces, and it's more of a mosaic that you paint for a jury. But in writing this book, it was a difficult task to think about how to tell this story.
Exactly, because you had to figure out what lies to tell.
Story in one matter, and then you throw in all these conspiracy theories. So it's difficult to kind of bite off.
I will, Paul.
Chunk. So what I do is I broke it down into the pieces of evidence, and thank you very much for your kind words about the book. I took a long time to kind of lay out the evidence as clearly as I can. It's a fast read. It's something that you can get through in just a couple of hours. And
I think she wants, as a podcaster, she wants him to stay, so she's gonna kiss his ass. I don't blame her for that.
Of what really happened to Teresa Hubbard.
Yes. And like I said, I do appreciate it. I'm reading it for the second time. So what we're going to do, we usually take a little break after the first hour, play a little music, stretch our legs, and then we'll be back. Oh, yes?
I was going to say, your bumper music, Dr. John, the right place in the wrong time. This is back in my era, so I like your first song that you brought in here, so it was good.
I am from New Orleans.
Yeah.
And so, of course, it has to be Dr. John, but Michael and I thought a lot of the people we talk about, this is their story. I was in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Must have been in the wrong place. It wasn't me.
Wrong time. Yeah. Great. Great.
So we're going to just take a quick... Thank you. I pick a different song for the break. And I tried to find, I looked online and found a song that a couple of articles said Teresa loved.
Well, talking about Zellner and the Filmmakers, Annie Lennox, Would I Lie to You, is something that you probably should have put on there. But we'll hear whatever you.
Oh my God, Ken!
All right.
You wish you were fucking Zellner.
And if we're just gonna take a little break.
Living my life in a slow hell.
Okay, Teresa had no taste in music.
Every night at the hotel.
Actually, the song's not bad.
I've seen the sun shining 3 damn days.
No, she said this was one of Teresa's favorite songs.
Fueling up on cocaine and whiskey. Wish I had
Thanks,
a good
Julie.
girl to
Guys, don't forget to subscribe. We're almost at 5,000.
Lord, I wonder if I'll ever change my ways. I put your picture away. Sat down and cried today. I can't look at you.
No, it's not Ken's song. It's Teresa's song.
Next to her.
I actually think it's nice you did that.
Looking for the best deals for your vaping accessories? Then check out the guys at Sub-On Vapor. With daily specials on a wide selection of mods and juices, they will surely become your one-stop shop. Ray and the guys at Sub-On Vapors, located at 6929 JFK Boulevard, Suite C in North Little Rock, Arkansas, want to see you. Join them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Oh my God, Miss Cobra.
Visit the store or call 501-392-6487.
Ah, thanks, Frank. No, because once I hit 5,000, I'm doing $100 giveaway. But you have to be a subscriber. She said they were taking questions. I mean, How cool would it be if I was like the only caller that was able to ask a question? I think it'd be cool. Thank you, Mike. And that's another thing. You want to subscribe so you can catch all the crazy shit we do. Ah, thanks, James. It really helped me out today, believe me. I thought maybe that was Falcon's personal number. Renee, that's funny. This is loud. Thank you, Shauna.
All right, and we're back.
I think the last time, Lisa, I heard that song, I was probably wearing roller skates with a disco ball going around.
Ken.
Back in the mid '70s. It was interesting. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I'm the same. We're of an age, yes. One of these days, I might switch to the Meters or one of the other local, like the Neville Brothers or something. Iko is a good one.
Well, I don't mean to digress here, but you've got Kid Rock talking about whiskey and cocaine, and then you got vaping accessories as your commercial here. This is quite the place.
And a big shout out, Spicy, happy birthday.
I may have been wrong to pick that song. I read a bunch of articles that said that.
No, Bob, I'm really on the phone with him.
Cheryl Crow.
I was speaking to him earlier.
Right.
And I didn't think about how we don't play the whole song. I should have done Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield.
Yeah, remember Spicy? He was in a band. Remember, he was in a rock band.
But, oh well. That's what I get for doing it the morning of the show.
It's all good music. It's all good.
Yeah. So I guess we're at October 31st, 2005. And what happened with Teresa likely started probably her first visit to Avery Salvage Yard in June. But there was an incident on October 10th with Teresa that left her a little unsettled.
Oh my God, this is a lie.
And you were able to develop a lot of information about that and testimony from her coworkers. That painted a good picture of that.
October 10th, which was also a Monday. I think your listeners need to know that October 31st is a Monday. October 10th is a Monday. The reason is because those Mondays were the days that Teresa did her little side job. She was a photographer. She would mostly do portraits and things that photographers do. But she also took pictures for this Auto Trader magazine. It's this kind of side money that she would do, and she would do those shoots on Mondays. Well, Avery knew that, and Avery on one of the Mondays earlier in the year had gotten Teresa's direct phone number, and Teresa had told him that he could call her directly. He didn't have to call Auto Trader magazine to come out and do a photo shoot. So on the 10th of October, for the first time, Stephen Avery called Teresa directly to come out and do a photo shoot. So she agreed to do that. She went out to the Avery salvage property and met with Stephen Avery in his trailer. That's where Stephen invited her to come into the trailer. Well, he was only wearing...
That's because I got it like that, Ziggy.
And Teresa, as we now know, had complained.
But you guys were all with me, so we did it together.
That this guy had invited her in. And what's special about October 10th? Well, what we developed and what we learned is that the day before, on October 9th, Stephen Avery, together with his sister Barb, went to a retail establishment, and Stephen bought new handcuffs and new leg irons on the 9th of October. It's interesting to note, I think, that Stephen's girlfriend at the time, Jody Stokowski,
I think so, Amanda.
in jail for her fourth offense, drunk driving. She was going to be in jail until March. And so why he's buying leg irons and handcuffs on October 9th is up for speculation. But what we do know is the very next day, he calls Teresa and invites her out, where he's found just wearing a white towel. He also tells Teresa, when she asks about some women whose photographs are on the wall, Stephen Avery says, you're going to be on that wall someday. And when you think back to that,
maybe because she shot porn.
It's chilling kinds of statements. By the way, what happened on October 10th, Judge Willis did not allow the state to present, so this evidence was not allowed at the time of the trial. Although I believe it to be very, very relevant. On the same date, October 10th, Stephen Avery took a photograph of himself. That he was laying on his bed when he was unclothed and when he was in a state of sexual arousal. He took a photo of himself. Now, was that before Teresa got there on the 10th? Or was it after she got there? We don't really know, but we know it's the same day because there's a timestamp on the photograph itself. And so, obviously, whatever was going on with Teresa, at least coincided in time with when Avery was
I was thinking the same thing, Rob.
being sexually aroused. And so the import of this, of October 10th, was, and what the defense said was, because Stephen knew how to call her directly, knew how to get her there without going through Auto Trader, why didn't he just do that 3 weeks later on the 31st when he called Auto Trader and he asked them, this is his quote, to send out the same photographer who's been here before. And so that, of course, is Teresa. He wanted her to be sent out there. But the reason, of course, that he didn't call her directly and get her out there is because he didn't want Teresa to know that it was him that was calling. There were several other people from the Avery salvage property.
He does believe them, Deborah. I agree.
Yonda's ex-husband, who had used Auto Trader to take other photos. And so when he called and he gave them the name B. Yonda,
Mark, I don't know.
Sister, Barb Yonda, when he gave the phone number for Barb Yonda's home, not for his own home,
Kenny needs something in his mouth for sure.
My opinion, and it was my theory that I had told the jury.
Loma, that's an awesome thought. I never thought of that.
Teresa out to the salvage yard. He doesn't want her to know that it's him that she's going to meet with. In fact, Teresa didn't know.
But he has her phone number.
When he first called, we know that because a voicemail left by Teresa, which was played, by the way, at the beginning of episode 2 of the first season of Making a Murderer. They played Teresa's call to Stephen, and she says, I could be there sometime after 2 o'clock.
Thanks, Vice.
But what she also says that the filmmakers cut out of that call. There's about 5 seconds cut out of the middle of the call. And you might want to wonder, why would they cut out just 5 seconds of that phone call? Well, it's where Teresa says to Stephen,
maybe the line dropped?
The address. So you have to call me back because I don't know the address that I'm coming to. Well, the defense theory was that she knew exactly where she was going. That she wasn't lured at all. That she knew it was the Avery salvage property. But in her
Did you guys hear that?
She said, I don't have the address. I don't know where it is that I'm going. Well,
Did you guys hear what he just said?
Don't want the audience to know that. They want the audience to believe.
He just said she wasn't lured to Stephen Avery's house.
But her voicemail proves just the opposite. It proves when she says, I don't have the address. And so why would the filmmakers cut that out? Why don't they want the audience to hear her saying, I don't know where I'm going. You have to call me back and give me the address. Once again, it doesn't fit their narrative. Their narrative was that She wasn't sketchy about this at all. She didn't feel at all apprehensive about going out there. When we know she was, when we know she used the terms creepy, when she know that she complained about this guy, and it is my belief, of course, that if Stephen would have called her directly, like we did on the 10th, because of what happened on the 10th, Teresa was never going back there. She certainly
I don't know, Julie.
going into his trailer ever again because of what had happened. You know, we also found a note that had Teresa's phone number written on the top of the note. And then underneath that were the words that said, "Back to patio door." It was the kind of note that would be left on his screen door of his trailer. And my theory, of course, was to lure her to back behind the trailer where other witnesses couldn't see what he had planned to do with the abduction and whatever else. That there was this note we found that said back to the patio door. And so all of these little nuggets of evidence, of information, don't become relevant, or you don't really know the relevance of them until all of the picture kind of comes together, and then it's pretty clear to see that Stephen did, in fact, lure this young woman out to the salvage yard, did have every intent to do exactly what he did, prepared for.
Exactly, Paul, their narrative.
And then abducted, likely raped, and certainly
likely raped
before she ever left.
And you know that how?
Salvage property. And so this wasn't a spur of the moment thing for Stephen Avery. It wasn't just something that he thought up on the fly. It was something that had to be planned out, pretty detailed. And so Avery...
Raquel, it is fabricated. 100%.
Was going to abduct and kill this woman, and like I said, likely raped her as well. And those, of course, are statements that Brendan Dassey had given to investigators, that both he and his uncle Stephen Avery raped Teresa before she was killed that day. So the sad details that were given by Brendan Dassey, are kind of played out once you realize what it is that Stephen had planned and what it is that he was able to execute the plan. And so it's a troubling scenario. It's something nobody really wants to think about, of what were the last 3 or 4 hours of this woman's life like, before she's killed. And
I agree, Cindy. I think so too.
As a prosecutor, but I'm sure that sitting through the evidence, sitting through all of these nuggets that are brought, it's very clear what his intent was, and it must have been just incredibly difficult for family and friends to have to sit and listen to all of that testimony, and think about what it was that happened to this poor young woman. So once the jury heard about luring him out there, they didn't have any problem coming to the conclusion that this wasn't something that was just a spur of the moment, that it was in fact planned out, and Stephen Avery, as he was found guilty, did plan the
that RAV4 is not the same car. It's not.
And, that also brings up an interesting point. Bobby Dassey's statement, first of all, Making a Murder and Kathleen Zellner rely almost exclusively on Avery's self-serving statements.
Oh my God.
He gave inconsistent statements because he told, was it Earl and Fabian, that she never showed up. And he called Auto Trader and said she never showed up.
Yeah, and so this. How do you explain that? If you're an innocent Stephen Avery, how is it that you told at least 3 people that this woman never showed up that day? Well, that was his first defense. He was going to claim that Teresa never showed up. In fact, he made a call to Teresa at about 4:35 p.m. to her cell phone. He knew she'd never answer the cell phone because he was looking at it. He was looking down on her cell phone burning in the burn barrel when he made that call.
Oh my God.
And calls the phone And later he claims that he called her to say, where were you? Why didn't you show up? And so his defense, which originally was going to be she never showed up, changes sometime later in the day.
He did originally say she didn't show up, though. He's not lying there.
That Bobby Dassey saw her. That Bobby saw her there. That for the first time, he knows that there's a witness that saw her show up, that saw her take the photographs.
He did. I'll explain it, Heather. It makes sense, though.
Trailer before Bobby jumped in the shower, and then later when hunting.
I had a fight with Lynn's daughter today.
Her car was still there, but she was nowhere to be found. And I think the 15 or so minutes that it took between the time that she took the pictures and walked towards the trailer, and when Bobby later comes out and sees her car still there, but doesn't see her anywhere, it doesn't take very much.
He did, Tanya, in the very first episode. He did say it. He originally said she didn't show up.
Of the things that were going on, and rather than admit that, well, I guess a witness saw me. I guess
I've heard that before.
I'm going to have to plead guilty or something to this. Instead, he turns it on Bobby and his own nephew, and says, "Well, it must have been Bobby then that had killed her." How despicable for Stephen Avery.
His Yentas Ken Kratz.
Have encouraged or cajoled Brendan Dassey into raping and participating in killing and mutilating this young woman, but he later then blames his other nephew, Bobby Dassey, as having committed the murder. Stephen Avery is the kind of unrepentant.
I agree, Michelle. That's what I was going to say.
The kind of personality that he would have, in my opinion.
That I probably would have lied too.
Before he was caught, and I think all of us have to be very, very glad that on what we know to be his first murder, or what I believe anyway, was his first murder.
Paul, believe me, I am.
Any other violence against women, and so I always hope, and I always look for a silver lining in some of these cases, and as
oh my God, Nightwave, get the fuck out of here with your trolling bullshit.
And as senseless as this murder may have appeared, in the long run, she left evidence. She left evidence for the cops and for the jury to understand. She told the jury, "I was here." She told the jury, "This is what happened to me. This is how I was killed. This is who killed me." And so she did her very best, even because of her murder.
I deleted or reported him, James.
To leave clues for the jury, and the juries used those clues and determined, how she was killed, determined who killed her, and then held responsible those two individuals that participated.
Tanya, I spoke to him, though. I'm excited.
I think those things aren't by accident. I think everything happens for a reason, and I think very much those clues were left so that Stephen Avery could be held accountable for these crimes that he committed.
Now we know, though, unfortunately, that there wasn't any evidence found. I don't think that necessarily means.
I don't know, Kaomi. I just am, because I've been dying to talk to him.
You couldn't see a blood drop that's so small, so minuscule that it didn't show up with alternative light, or the room wasn't conducive to alternative light. But there wasn't any evidence in the trailer.
Oh, in the trailer, yeah,
inside.
And according to Brendan,
there's a lot of reasons for that. Yeah.
Well, Lisa, Brendan Dassey said that after she was raped and held in his bedroom, that they had taken all of the bedding, all of it that was on the bed. They wrapped it all up, and that, together with her clothes, were burned in the burn pit area. We know that her clothes were burned because we later found rivets for her Daisy Fuentes' jeans that were located in the same burn pit that her bones were found. You know, when you look at her teeth being found in there and her jeans being found in there, for Zellner or any other hack to suggest that that wasn't the primary burn location, well, how the hell do you get her Daisy Fuentes jean rivets there if that's not where she was burned? How do you find her teeth there if that wasn't where she was burned? Are you saying that somebody burned her in some remote location and then brought her
Yes, St. On, it's
back
live.
to his property and scattered the bones with nobody, in fact, not even Avery's own attack dog, his German Shepherd
There.
that was located just a couple of feet from there, that dog wouldn't have gone crazy if some stranger or somebody else would have come on that property to try to scatter bones and things. You never would have gotten away with that. You still have no explanation for the burned electronics that are in his burn barrel. Keep going back to all this evidence that they have no explanation for. Well, what about the rivets that were found? Where did those come from, Attorney Zellner? What about her tooth that was found in that burn pit? If her tooth and her clothes are found in that burn pit, don't you think that's where she was burned? That kind of makes sense, and isn't something that really takes much other than hiding it from the audience. And of course, I'm guessing none of the audience was told that her rivets from her jeans were found there. They're not told that her teeth, were found there. And so there's a lot of other evidence that the general public doesn't know about.
Correct.
That proves unmistakably where the primary burn location was, and it was 20 feet from Avery's own back door.
Yes, Missy, anyone can.
Right. And I think, too, it's important to note that one of the criticisms that one of Zellner's experts had on camera...
Who is Nightwaves, Greg? I keep deleting them.
Equally critical that was filed with the court, which is troubling to me, is that he claimed that 2 tires would not have been enough to produce enough heat to burn Teresa's body. Well, we know they threw on wood, they threw on furniture, they threw on a car seat. They had multiple tires.
He's an asshole.
Well, let me stop.
Greg, I'm talking to you. I would never go on somebody else's show acting like a troll. What is his problem?
Materials that were piled onto that burn pit.
What the arson investigators told me was the single...
Like this kind of shit. Are you that fucking jealous or something? Give me a fucking break.
Producing incredible heat was this van seat. And it's got this poly foam stuff, I guess, that it's made out of. But what they called solid gasoline. And that's when they burn.
Why is he casting my live show on his show?
It creates, such a heat source that you have to understand that. And there weren't
that is copyright. He can't do that.
There were the steel belts, the remnants of the tires that were burned in that burn pit. Let me tell you one other thing, Lisa. I don't want to lose this point, and that is that some of the bones that were recovered were intertwined with the steel belts that were found in the burn pit. What that means is that these little pieces of bone that were so brittle that would have disintegrated if you were touched it, if you ever grabbed it, were found intertwined in these steel belts, proving that the bones and the steel belts...
It's probably just a gilter.
...all burned at the same time. That's the only way that you could get those...
But how pathetic. Like, I would never do that on somebody's podcast. Like, how retarded.
Were found in those steel belts. Just another fact.
I agree. It is the highest form of flattery.
That shows that this was the primary burn location. The bones were intertwined in the steel belts that were found there. You can't do that.
Thank you, Lori. Yeah, I would never do that.
And then take a little piece of bone and try to and try to intertwine it into the steel belts. Well, who would do that? I just think about if you were to plant evidence, which I'm hoping you wouldn't, but if you would, you wouldn't do it like that. In fact, you wouldn't burn her at all. You would probably deposit Teresa's body unburned because she's got to be
in the trailer. In his bed, in the trailer, handcuffed.
Put her on the doorstep.
Letha, he is pathetic. Let him do what he wants. He's
got to have
it's
you're going to plant the evidence. You don't want
it's just pathetic.
Or camouflage it. That's somebody that doesn't want the vehicle found. Well, if you're planting evidence, you need that evidence found. You need it to be found as Teresa Halbach. You don't, we had a forensic anthropologist, one of the best in the world, who took a very long time to identify these remains as being that of Teresa Halbach. Well, how do you expect some layperson who's planting the bones then to have known that this was Teresa Halbach? You couldn't have known that unless she was burned right there at that location. And so that's clearly what happened. It's all of these things that are contrary to what you would have expected if somebody was really trying to plant evidence. They would have planted much more identifiable, much more obvious evidence to convict this guy of murder, rather than trying to hide all of this evidence, which is how it was that we all found it to be. So it's not consistent at all with planting. It's very consistent with the murderer who's trying to hide evidence from the police.
Correct, because consciousness of guilt. And these are
oh my God, yeah, that's it.
Go toward consciousness of guilt. Hiding the vehicle, camouflaging it so that it's not seen from the air, so that it's probably going to be hard to pick out from somebody just giving a cursory look toward.
Tanya, don't do it. Area. Don't do it.
Right. The only reason you burn a body is to try to hide who it is. You're trying to hide the identity of the person that you burned. That's why you burn them. And so the only person that wants to hide the identity is the killer. It's not, Go ahead.
And that's also destroying any evidence that would have corroborated rape, would have told you how she was murdered, when she was murdered.
Oh, really, Missy?
Because there's nothing left to, you have those beveled edges on the two bone fragments that say, okay, well, we know she was shot in the head, but she may have been shot in other parts of her body, but there was no, no bone. And she was. There was no bone to tell you that there was a gunshot in the ribs or.
No, the bullet that was found, item FL, was a shot that went through Teresa's body, but not through 2 layers of skull. It wouldn't have been found in any pristine condition like it was. So, Attorney Zellner, trying to convince her audience in Making a Murderer 2 that it was the state's theory that the bone that was recovered had gone through Teresa's skull is a bunch of nonsense. We felt just the opposite. That was evidence. That was a bullet that had gone through soft tissue that was recovered in almost a pristine.
I agree, Letha.
Way behind a compressor in the garage. It was never argued to be, never told the jury or even hinted to the jury that was evidence of the gunshots to the head. There were no exit wounds that were ever found, and so those bullets likely remained.
That's true, Crazy Noodle.
They were disintegrated in the fire.
I don't even remember her question.
With the rest of the burned material that was there, and so for Attorney Zellner to try to fool the audience that this was the state's theory is really despicable. It's an argument that oftentimes you would see in high school in a debate team or something. It's called a straw man argument, where you first misrepresent what the other person's saying, and then you dispel it. You set up the straw man to knock it down. Well, Well, her straw man is that this bullet must have gone through skull, and then she of course puts in her quote unquote experts to say, well, there isn't any bone found on it, so it couldn't have gone through the skull. Well, duh. It didn't go through the skull. Now, Zellner, we never claimed that it did. In fact, it likely was not a bullet that had gone through the skull at all because of the condition that the bullet was found in. So why you would represent that as having been our theory is something that I have no idea why she chose that time.
I suspect, based on what you're saying, I suspect that they actually did a bait and switch, because what they were examining was not a pristine bullet. It was a deformed fragment.
Yeah, well, there are two. What you got to know, Lisa, is that there's two different fragments that were found. One is it kind of looked like a roofing nail.
Here we go.
Deformed. And was found, and they couldn't do any ballistic testing on it at all. They couldn't tell even what caliber it was or what gun it was shot from. But the item FL, the bullet that had Teresa's DNA on it, was ballistically tested and did provide the ballistic match as having come from the gun hanging.
I agree, Beck.
Stephen Avery's bed, the same gun, by the way, that Dassey identified, the same gun that Dassey identified was the gun that was used to kill Teresa. Well, there's maybe 20 different firearms on the salvage yard. How come, when people are talking about corroborating evidence that Brendan came up with, how come the identification of the murder weapon wasn't one of those things that they admit? Well, Brendan was the one who talked about it was this gun hanging over his bed that was used to kill her.
It wasn't even his gun.
That was ballistically matched as having fired that bullet. Well, Brendan didn't know that at the time. And was he just lucky that he picked the right gun out of maybe 20 other guns that were on that location? Of course not. It's corroborative physical evidence corroborating Brendan Dassey's confession, and everybody forgets that. Nobody wants to point to all of those physical pieces that were later found to have corroborated his version of what happened.
And it's also important to note that that gun was seized in November. That bullet was not located until after Dassey's confession.
Right, March 2nd.
So there's no way that bullet could have been planted 5 months later.
Here's what's so funny. That doesn't stop the defense from saying it was planted.
No.
I agree, Mike.
They still bring that up. Well, what happened? Did somebody take the firearm out of evidence in Madison, and did they test fire a bullet and then use that to plant it with the DNA that we don't even have, Teresa's DNA?
You don't?
Where did we get her DNA to put all over that particular?
How about the vibrator?
Where'd that come from? And so to have her DNA on a bullet that's found in March, that was shot from a gun that's been in evidence since November, there is no way that you can plant or create that evidence. But also, let me put one thing for those of your listeners who know the facts really well.
I'm listening.
I want to tell them to look at the photos of the garage, Stephen Avery's garage.
The messy one?
Before the officers went in to search it. There's snow, which is all around the garage, and there are snow drifts that were covering both of the entrance doors to the garage. There were no footprints. There was nobody that entered that
You
garage.
had 7 months.
If you're suggesting that the officers planted that bullet, what did they do? Fly over the snow in order to get it into the garage? There aren't any footprints. There aren't
You had
evidence of anybody
5 months.
in that garage. And so if you're going to say they planted it, you also have to say, when did they plant it? Apparently, they didn't know that needing a bullet in there until after Brendan said that's where the homicide occurred, was in the garage. That's when they went back and searched the garage, and they found these bullet fragments. And so, if your audience or your audience members wants to look at all of the photographs of the garage and the exterior of the garage before they searched it, they will find there were no footprints. There was no ability to, even if they wanted to plant that evidence, to hide the fact that they would have entered the garage. And so
They planted it on March 1st, you fucking idiot.
Once you ask just a couple of questions, all these theories by Attorney Zellner collapse under their own weight. They just don't hold up under any kind of scrutiny, even the most modest of scrutiny. And so, I said it was laughable if it wouldn't have been this serious of allegations, especially that Attorney Zellner is bringing up, that is accusing people of planting evidence.
And it was missed 5 months prior, right?
Other than her client.
Correct. And so let's move on to November 3rd. Teresa's reporting missing by her mother. Now there's a statement in your book, and frankly, I think you're paraphrasing to a degree. But Kathleen Zellner has
He's
taken,
paraphrasing?
Great offense at it. Have you seen her 17 refutations of your statements in your book?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
So what
you said something about Mark Uyghur knocking on your door in the morning and telling you about Teresa being reported missing.
Julie, it's real.
But I think you're more or less
I spoke in the beginning.
Not saying it happened in the morning,
No. It was the afternoon.
Or that morning.
No. It was the description of when Uyghur told me that this had happened, and it had occurred in the afternoon. I do think my book said that.
I did talk to Kratz.
Told me about it in the morning, but I didn't learn that she was at Avery Salvage Yard as the last location until sometime the afternoon of the 3rd. And so if that's what Attorney Zellner and others are claiming is incorrect, well, I guess I can
call her Stormy.
I can live with that.
That was funny, Rob.
More to me like he told you she'd been reported missing that morning because her boss or
I'm still on hold.
The photographer she shared a space with contacted her mom in the morning.
No.
And then her mom reported. I think Zellner is getting into semantics about when the report was made.
I'm telling you, Lisa.
And I don't think your statement's even incorrect.
Well, what I'm telling you is I think it's incorrect. I'm telling you that I think he didn't say anything to me till that afternoon. Okay, so if that clears up anything for anybody, I hope they'll be able to sleep now. That they know that Uyghur came, a few hours later than the morning. So
I feel so honored. I might be his only question.
Cleared up now, and people now can move on with more important matters. So I appreciate when I'm told of errors or things that may have been mistakenly put into the book. My book is coming out in paperback later this year.
We get it in paperback now.
Error and a couple of other typos or small errors that were made that will be cleaned up in the paperback version, as well as adding a couple of new chapters.
I think I did scare him.
I intend to add to my book, and then later on in
he might come on my show for that though if he's trying to promote a book.
The book that I wrote about this case will be released in paperback version with new chapters and with some of those corrections having been made. So hopefully that will clear up any problems that anybody might have found with the book. Otherwise, the book is very
that's
well
funny, Tim.
Very well researched, and I'm very proud of the finished product. What it is that was put together.
I will, James. Believe me.
Okay, great. I'm looking forward to that too, because I would love to read the new chapters. And then on November 3rd, they did do interviews at Avery Salvage, because at some point it was developed that she'd been in Manitowoc, and she'd been to Zippler and Schmidt and Avery.
Right. Well, they went. They went to.
He wouldn't know about Carmen, Marissa.
On the 3rd.
He
for
was
the last
just
three
a
places
fucking
that she'd been, and they had
he
determined,
was
based on
puppet.
going through her calendar, as well as whose house did she go to first, and who's next. That Stephen Avery was her last stop.
I know, right,
That
Steve?
They found that on the 3rd of November. That Avery was the last location that she had been seen alive, and so it shouldn't be too difficult to figure out why was it then that the investigation focused on Stephen Avery, because you focus on where was the last person or where was the last place this person was seen alive.
Jennifer, me talking to Kratz is in like the first half hour of the video of this video. I was in. I got to talk to him before the show started, and then he got all pissed.
There isn't anything special. I keep hearing things like, well, why wasn't Ryan Hilgis interviewed? Well, an ex-boyfriend who lives in Milwaukee, who on the 31st of October was nowhere around Manitowoc, Wisconsin, questioning him about the case was not a priority at that time, when all of the evidence was pointing to Stephen Avery, not only the physical evidence, but also circumstantially, that was the last place that she was seen alive. That's where the cops should have started their investigation. You're not taking limited resources and going off and talking to ex-boyfriends at the time. They did their due diligence, and they cleared many other suspects in the case, but Stephen Avery was the one person, was the last person to have seen her, and that's where the investigation, I think, rightfully began to heat up, was what he might have known about Teresa's disappearance.
Correct. And this was a multi-jurisdictional case, because Teresa was a Calumet resident, Calumet County. So that was where she was reported missing.
Well, that's how I got involved in the case. And in the first case was a missing persons case, and Officer Wiegert and I and some other cops from Calumet were doing some cell tracking. We were looking at some financial records. We were trying to see if we could find out where she had gone. We're trying to do a missing persons case. And then on Saturday, a couple of days later, when her vehicle was found, and it turns out that Manitowoc County
Ziggy, that was good.
The investigation or the prosecution, that they needed to appoint another agency to be the lead investigative agency, and that's when Calumet agreed to be the lead investigative agency, and that's when the DA asked me if I would agree to be the special prosecutor on the case, to handle the investigation and to handle the subsequent prosecution, and I agreed to do that on Saturday, the 5th of November, and that's when I went to the Avery Salvage Yard and was there at about maybe 1:30 in the afternoon, just about 2 or 3 hours after Teresa's vehicle was there, and then I worked with my staff to get all the search warrants prepared, and we worked the rest of that day then on the search warrants until we could search the residences and the junk cars and the rest of the Avery Salvage Yard. But that's the genesis of how I got involved in the case.
Okay. And I think you made an excellent point in your book about the fact that while there was a conflict for the Manitowoc DA and there was a conflict for the Manitowoc Sheriff, that did not mean that all Manitowoc personnel had to be taken off the investigation, and that's really not feasible. Calumet County is not big enough to handle an investigation in Manitowoc County of this scope you did have DOJ with Department of Criminal Investigation with DOJ.
No, Woodward.
And several other people.
So far, I'm the only person that ever asked a
also
question.
Kind of helm the investigation. But you make an excellent point that the Manitowoc officers, for searching a 40-acre salvage yard, searching the multiple buildings on the property, multiple garages, multiple trailers, multiple homes, that was necessary because you needed all hands on deck, more or less.
Well, there were 4 residences to be searched. There were probably 10.
Sean, it was sent to her.
Had to be searched. 3,800 junked vehicles. Each one of them had to be searched to see if there was any evidence in it. In fact, the first time our investigative teams went through all 3,800 cars, they found a license plate crumpled up and in the back of a vehicle, and they were found to be Teresa Halbach's license plates. And so it was important to search every vehicle. You know, there's blood in a lot of those vehicles. We didn't know who it belonged to. In a very real sense, we were searching for things that we didn't even know.
No, they don't want truthers.
Or not.
I had to agree that I would be completely professional.
So when you look at the size of this crime scene, it's a 40-acre crime scene with 3,800 cars and 4 residences and 10 buildings, and it's a lot of work, a lot to be searched. And what we didn't have a lot of at the time were evidence texts. That is, those police officers that were specialized, that received specialized training in how to collect, how to gather evidence and package it and collect it for to be transported to the crime lab. Officers Link and Colburn were the 2 officers from Manitowoc who had the evidence tech training, and because they were trained evidence techs, and because they were known to have no connection to the Stephen Avery case or anything about him, they were the 2
thanks, Debbie.
Evidence techs to always go with a Calumet officer or a state homicide investigator, and that's when they went out.
It's just a New York podcast.
Gathered by either Link or Colburn, there was always another Calumet cop with them, whether it was Deputy Bill Tyson or whether it was Deputy Kaharski. There was always somebody else that was with them. They weren't allowed to kind of go off their own and search. They were searching.
Julie, she's reading his book 2 times around.
Consisted of either a state.
I don't think they paid her. I don't think they paid him.
Officer as the lead investigator, and then they were assisted with the collection by Lincoln Colburn. That's how the key was found when the 3 officers were searching for the first time, searching the furniture in Stephen Avery's bedroom, and the key falls out the back of this bookcase and down onto the floor, and the officers for the first time.
Did you hear what he just said?
The key on the bedroom floor. It was officers Kaharski and Link.
Exactly, Falcon. He said it like 4 times.
When the key was found, but it was found exactly when it should have been found. We hear a lot about it not being found till the 67th search. That's nonsense. It was found on the first thorough search of any of the furniture in the bedroom, and we know it to have been secured or secreted behind in the back of a
yes, Sela, he's live.
Which has about a half-inch gap. The back panel of this bookcase was pulled back or pulled away from the bookcase itself, and so the jury got to see that. They got to see the gap.
Tanya.
I don't think those that watched Making a Murderer got to see it, but the jurors got to see the actual cabinet. They could see how the key was easily found to have fallen behind this cabinet and down onto the floor. It wasn't magic at all that found or
not at all
allowed this key to be found. It was gravity. It was gravity that made this key fall down the back and and was found at the time. So once your audience
No, John, it was found in the bookcase.
heard all of the evidence, it all fit together very nicely as to how and why that key was found at exactly the time that it was.
Correct. And the jury, I was reading your rebuttal closing argument from the Avery trial, and you actually showed the before and after pictures, and showed how Mr. Colburn had jostled that nightstand or bookcase, whatever it was, around and displaced those slippers in the process, which also displaced the key that was secreted. And you mentioned, he needed that key to start the car.
So to explain what you're talking about here, the photos that were shown were the slippers next to this bookcase having been kind of pushed to the left as you looked at them, and then as the cabinet was put back in its original position, the key then, which fell out the back and was kind of hidden by the cabinet. Once the cabinet's put back in its original location, well, there's the key. It kind of magically appears. At least that's what the defense wants you to know, but it's not, as I said, not magic at all. It simply fell down from behind the bookcase. So there isn't really any conspiracy or anything sketchy about it, although
not at all.
making you nervous sure made it look like there was, and sure didn't have any problem suggesting, coming right out and saying that Officer Colburn and Link were guilty of having planted evidence.
They did air me.
Man, and conspired to have him convicted.
I don't know if they aired me. We heard it.
It was a kind of defamatory statement to Officer Link and Officer Colburn that, as I understand, just yesterday a lawsuit was filed against Netflix and against the filmmakers by Andrew Colburn for the defamation and for all the lies that were told about him. And I'll be very, very interested to see that proceed through the court system and to see if, in fact, Netflix, the filmmakers and others involved in perpetrating those falsehoods will be held accountable and will have to make reparations to the officer who has clearly been injured by those statements having been made about him.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to seeing that as well. And
Exactly, Shauna.
Other names I would like to see added, but the attorney, it's his case to try, and I know some of those names that I would like to see added would hide behind representing their clients and some kind of, immunity, but so be it. So the murder investigation begins once the vehicle's found, and you've got blood on the inside and outside of the vehicle. Don't know who it belongs to, but blood usually is an indicator that something bad has happened to someone. And so that's the murder investigation begins. Now, one of the first things was the search and cadaver dogs who were brought in. And it's funny in Making a Murderer 2, Kathleen Zellner talks about these alerts over in the Redont property and in the quarry, but she doesn't talk about the alerts on Stephen Avery's porch, in Stephen Avery's bathroom.
Renee, no.
Teresa's RAV4. On the
But
garage.
Colburn doesn't stand a chance
and
anyway.
There were cadaver dogs and there were search dogs. So there were scent dogs looking for Teresa's scent. But then there were cadaver dogs who were looking for just general decomposition. Correct?
Right. I'm going to say this as clearly as I can. You and everybody else who watched Making a Murderer was shown exactly what they wanted you to see, and nothing more. You were spoon-fed what they wanted you to see, and so the fact that they made it look like that there was some conspiracy or that there was some shenanigans going on.
But Ken Kratz.
And at the time we tried this case, and when we argued it to the jury, many of these things were never even raised because they were just so far from reality, and they were not supported by any evidence that was presented or even developed by the defense. And so you can't just make stuff up 10 or 11 years later and expect people that know about the case not to push back. That's what I've tried to do since Making Murderer came out in December of 2015. And
It might be his mom.
I'll continue to push back on this as long as they keep misrepresenting the facts.
But Ken's on the phone.
They keep saying that there's something wrong with this process.
If you listen to the beginning of the video, I spoke to him.
Left here, Lisa, do you have any phone calls that we need to go to, or is there anything that I can answer in just the remaining minutes that we do have together here tonight?
Well, we can go into overtime. That's not a problem. We won't be live, but it'll be recorded and archived. Now, if it's getting too late for you, I thank you for using Blog Talk Radio.
What the fuck? Bitch.
Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
That we haven't talked about. We haven't
just call right back.
Fingerprinting, and we haven't gotten to talk about.
Oh, I know.
Other kinds of allegations that were made, and especially Making Murderer 2. And we're not going to have time to do that because I know we're up against it here, and we're up against the time. But as your audience moves forward and as they learn more about the case and as they dig deeper and they find sources that aren't Kathleen Zellner or aren't these filmmakers, when they find real sources of information that came either from transcripts or from police reports, I think they will agree with me that this was an investigation that was done very, very well, a prosecution that was put together very competently, and the two people that committed this murder are in prison. One of them, Stephen Avery, will be there the rest of his life and will die in prison right where he belongs. And so I feel good about that. I'm able to sleep well at night, knowing that he's been taken
exactly, Lori.
To the extent that I was able to assist in that process. Again, I'm very happy with, and I'm very proud of the work that we did in this case. So thanks for having me on, Lisa. I appreciate it. And if you want to take a couple of calls, we can do that off the air here.
Well, we actually we don't have any calls, right?
You do too.
No, we don't have any more calls. Okay.
I'm right here.
Let's go ahead and end then talking about, and we can do it as long as you would like to or need to. The backlash specifically aimed at you from Making a Murderer because of the false presentation of information by the filmmakers. I know you've mentioned on other forums that you had negative Yelp reviews that destroyed your law practice. And I know I see
season 1 came out, so I had lost my law practice, or continued to be death threats and just horrible things being said about myself and about my wife and about my family, and
poor Ken. I did get Kratz.
Taking upon themselves.
The one and only call. I know. I feel good. I will be able to sleep tonight. All I have to say is thank you, Dad.
And it's too bad. It's disturbing, but it's something that I'll continue to live with and to push through with. All right.
Well, I do appreciate. I thank you for being here.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I hope it was entertaining and informative, and maybe we'll get a chance to visit again in the future. But if you do get other feedback about this, and you're able to send that.
Oh my God, Ken, come on my show, please.
How this has been received, I would very much appreciate that also, Lisa. Okay?
I certainly will. We have on that show page that I sent you, there is a Facebook comment section.
Okay.
And so you can go to that page and see if anybody comments.
Well, now you know where to go.
You're not a Facebook.
No, well, I am, but I don't look at what people say about me as a general rule, and so there's a reason for that. And so what I'll do is, if there's a general feeling that you've gotten from this particular podcast, and you can share that with me, I'd very much appreciate if you would do that. Okay.
I certainly will. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I do appreciate your time, and this was informative.
Have a great evening, and if or the next time I should say, when I get down to the New Orleans area, hopefully we can get together and chat some more. So I
would like that. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Have a great night.
Right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, that's it.
All right, Michael, you're going to have to talk now.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
That's it. I was the one and only question. At least I got to ask. Wow. Talk about lies and more lies. I'm dumbfounded. Yeah, I don't know why she said there's no other callers. I guess oh, you know what? I bet they were looking at the Facebook feed. That just reminded me of that. They were probably watching the Facebook feed and seeing that it was so negative, and that's why they didn't take any callers. So what I asked, in case you guys missed it, I called like the second I was allowed to call at the very, very beginning. And I asked him, I said, I have a criminal justice background, and I don't understand what the purpose was of asking for her vibrator and her pap smear. So he made some crazy ass excuse, like a long-winded, like 7-minute answer for, that it was supposed to be a secret, and that, he should have never asked, and it was never supposed to be made public, and it's all Zellner's fault. It was pretty good. I'll post it again. Excuse me. Thank you, Rebecca. The Facebook. Hold on. I don't know why I'm screaming. Here's the link. It's on the bottom. Frank, I just said what I asked. You guys have to watch the beginning of this recording. Shauna lost us. That's so crazy. James, I don't. Thank you, Letha. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I am so glad that I was at least the first question, the only question. Thanks, Missy. No, it was, what got me excited? That I got under his skin so bad that you have to hear it. He got nasty, like nasty. And I was so professional. I actually saw her posted somewhere. Thanks, Kim. I actually saw her posted somewhere. So that's how I knew what to call. Thank you, Crazy Noodle. I want to bring him on. I have so many questions to ask him. It's the first 30 minutes. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to tape that part and post it separately, just so it's, not the whole thing. If people don't want to listen to the whole thing, they just want to hear my question. End this and start a new one. Well, oh, Renee, you didn't hear it? I know, right, Stacy? Joseph Beaton, I've been waiting for you all night. I can't wait to watch it. Yeah. Oh, it was awesome. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, David. And guys, if you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe, because this way, I'm doing a $100 giveaway at 5,000, and we're almost there. And you can make sure that you hit the bell so you don't miss all my crazy stuff. TikTok has it on Reddit about the call-in show. Who were those other assholes that night? The ones that were stealing it? Who the fuck was that? I think so too. I think my dad was looking above. I said, you know what? Let's give her this call. Thank you, Linda. So that's right. You guys can't watch it until I stop this video, right? You guys can't watch it while this is still going? Laura doesn't believe me that. Silverback TikTok Manitowoc is on whatchamacallit, is on Twitter. Oh, you can watch it. Okay. I have to say, you can take the country out of the girl, but you can't take the gal out of the country. I don't know if you can hold yourself together. I can, Christine. He has a YouTube channel. You should report him. Oh, he posted my stream on his YouTube channel. Yeah, that's illegal. That's not cool. He's on Nightwave Radio. Are there any like people on it? The one that has like 63 people watching? I don't see it. Oh, I see. So he takes other people's podcasts, he takes other people's stuff and then records them or streams them. See, that's a gaming thing. They do that stuff with gaming. Nope. My rights. Hang on, guys. I'm just reporting this. I don't know when it was. Yeah, I don't know what time it was, though. They want to know exactly what time. I don't feel like looking through it. Yeah, it doesn't even tell me what time. Copyright owner. Authority to make this complaint. My channel? I state I have good faith belief. Notification is accurate. Oh, this is a lot to report something. Almost done. All right. What'd I miss? Oh. What the hell? Oh, there you go. Holy shit. This is like impossible. Absolutely. Now they tell me the copyright is I didn't fill it out right. I'll do it later. It's a fucking nightmare. So what did you ask? Night, Paul. Thank you, Rebecca. Yeah, that was the other thing that the woman wanted, the interviewer wanted him to talk about the woman to talk about the vibrator, like to continue my question, and that's when he freaked. And he was so calm before then. Someone, Jeremy did send it to KZ. Good night, Kim. I don't even know how far I lost. Thank you, David. Missy, believe me, I'm trying. It's a long process to report for copyright. I couldn't see it when I rewound. I'll do it afterwards. It's so live it doesn't start at the beginning. Is that the dang? I know that was Ken Kratz. I had backed up to hear you talking again. Sweats. Just read the Facebook comment. That's what I'm thinking, Julie. That's why he didn't. I was thinking the exact same thing. The guy getting drunk and streaming your stream. Yeah, but I need exact times of when he streamed it. Oh, my son is coughing. It doesn't sound good. Can't hear your question. It's all recorded. Thanks, Wendy. And this was like so worth staying up for. I don't even care if I'm late tomorrow. This was so worth it. Thanks, Spicy. And you have a wonderful birthday. Ducat said, no, he didn't mention that at all. That's true, Renee. Thank you. I will do that. Music lover, if let me post the link again. In the link, if you scroll down to the bottom, you could see all the Facebook comments. Thanks, Jewel. I don't think I embarrassed him as much as I really pissed him off. You reported someone for streaming your stream when you were streaming the blog talk stream. Sean, that's totally different. YouTube, I'm not allowed to stream somebody else's video. I'm not allowed to take somebody else's video. That's a copyright infringement. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, Joseph, I really need to talk to you. If you want to do a Google Hangout, we'll do it live. That's fine. I don't care. But I have a bunch of questions about DNA that I need answers to. And you're like the only DNA person I know. It's about 10:15. 10:15, I'm assuming Eastern time. Why do you care that much to do that to your stream? Joseph, it looks like that's what he does. He takes other people's streams, and that's how he tries to build a channel. I meant Central Time. No, right now it's 10:19 Central Time. She was saying he did it about 10:15, so that was an hour prior. Maybe he'll come on your stream. No, he did come on here. Him and his friends are making racist comments. I mean, I personally, I don't care. Nothing about religion affects me. But with 200 people watching, maybe it affects them. Like maybe one of you guys is very religious, or maybe, you guys are Jewish or Catholic or whatever. You don't come in somebody's room making hateful comments because you never know who's listening. What if somebody here is extremely religious and extremely Jewish and extremely religious? It's not right if someone from some asshole channel, comes into my stream just to harass people. That's not what I'm about. There were a bunch of them that came in here right as he was streaming and making all sorts of Jewish comments and stupid comments for no reason. Yeah, Nightwave. I do go to church. It don't bother me. No, I'm just saying, like, if people are religious, it's just wrong. Whether I am or not doesn't matter. I'm just one person. But at the time, there were 230 people in this room, and you just don't do that. Like, that's like for a 12-year-old. I don't even think my kids would do that. And they're almost 14, and 11. They wouldn't even do that. Susan, you know what? That's an excellent point. Susan brings up a good point. If Stephen and Brenda were so dangerous and scary, why did two women, Pam and her daughter, go onto a huge junkyard looking for a body or a possible crime scene? No person would do that. That's very true. That's an excellent point. Thank you, Beck. What Joseph say? He can't talk to me? Yeah, they were making Hitler comments. Exactly. It was unacceptable. You just don't do that. Absolutely, Mama. We are family. We gotta, stick up for each other. I do, James, and this is all brand new. Like I'll be honest, I told everybody they were fucking crazy. The RAV4 is the same car. You guys are a bunch of conspiracy theorists. Don't talk to me about this stupid car. It's the same RAV4. It's hers. Just because you don't want to accept it, that's your problem. I went ballistic for like 2 years about this car. And I watched, it's totally like, did not even realize it. That I was watching this video of someone who had like 6 like viewers. And I was watching it and I'm like, you know what? He makes a good point. I'm looking at this car. I'm like, this is not the same fucking car. So then I was like, kept flipping back and forth between cars. I'm like, wait a second. Hers had a greenish gray plastic around it. This other one does not. This is not her car. That's why they won't give it to Zellner. So I'm going to delve more into it like tomorrow probably. But yeah, it's not her car. I'm convinced of it. Timing he was streaming you right now. It's Florida. All right. So then it's an hour prior because it's 10:20 now Central Time, 11:20 your time. So yeah, it was about an hour ago. Thank you so much, Cindy. Hey, Rusty. Religious hatred is nearly based on jealousy. It's based on ignorance, Joseph. It's not just jealousy, it's pure ignorance. Anyone that judges anybody on race, color, religion, anything, doesn't matter what it is pure ignorant. My kids are the so not racist children because they don't see people like that. I hate racists. I hate people like that. Like, don't base somebody on how they look or on any which way, shape, or form, or what they believe in, or their sexual preference. If they're gay, if they're straight, if they're bi, who cares? Like, it doesn't change them as people. So I've always raised my kids. It's just pure ignorance. Like, I'll make stupid jokes like everybody else. Like, I'm not going to say I'm innocent from jokes. Would I walk through Harlem or South Chicago, at Southside Chicago at 3:00 in the morning in a short skirt? Fuck no. But that's just common sense. That's not being a racist. That's just common sense. Back up. Damn, full life. What phone number? The one we had? Any chance if you find it, please post what? I missed some. Wanted to find more on clamped cables for battery. If change, short touch forcibly to get off the cable. Any chance? Tim, what chance to find what? I had run-ins with Jew haters and 911 truthers frequently on 9/11. It's stupid. Oh, it was some YouTube video. And if you really want to know the truth, I'll tell you, I didn't realize who I was watching the first 5 seconds, but I don't even know his name. He was stalking me for a while. It's not pretty. But I happened to click on and I was like half asleep and I accidentally clicked it and I decided to watch it and I was like, "Oh my God, like he's kind of got a point." Like I was really looking at it. But that's what made me like open my eyes, and then I was looking at pictures. Ask Marissa. Marissa showed me the pictures of today. Marissa, can you link what you showed me today? I could probably find it too. Okay. This we found. She found this somewhere. Let me go back here. Oh, wait, I'm copying a picture. Marissa, can you link it? I'm asking Marissa to link. I wish Phoebe was here. Shauna, I'm so glad you found it too. Exactly, Stacy. Please post link to car video in the comments. Oh, you are there, Phoebe. Marissa. Oh, yeah. Because all I have is pictures, so it won't link. I tried. Deb, you mean OBS? I have OBS. For some reason, Streamlinks doesn't link to YouTube for some reason. I don't know why. I know Silverback, and I've been calling them crazy. For 2 years, I said there's no way it's not the same car. It's in the light differently. They wouldn't do that. Oh. Was he talking about how the trim attached to the car and that's not correct? I don't remember. Crazy Noodle, I know Rubby Ducky for a couple of years now. If the cars were switched, that lends credence to people who say she's still alive. I don't know. I don't think she's still alive. It was in 1999, but Marissa just posted it. It was a 1999 RAV4. That was absolutely not blue. And I say this because of the interior is blue. Nobody's going to have a green car with blue interior. That would just be hideous. But then you have the, this is my first time I ever posted. I watch all the time too. Thanks, Cindy. Thanks. Yeah, her car was dark green. And I could see it being like a teal green. So that's why I always gave credence to the blue. But no, that car is fucking blue. There's no way around it. The plastic on the I'll do a video on it tomorrow because then I can use my OBS and it makes it a lot easier. But you can tell absolutely that the color of the plastic is totally different. It's so weird. Absolutely, Kimberly. I don't know why it was switched. I really, truly don't. The only thing that I can think of that I've said maybe it was switched because her original car was burned. Like maybe everything went up on fire and she was burned and they found her in a car burned, which was already burned. That's the only thing I could think of. It's the only logic to me. What do you think about AC suing Netflix? Do you think he was watching you when you said if they're innocent, they should sue? Yeah, right? You think it's fun? That's right. I did say that, but I was talking about Bobby and Scott. The 12 Days of Christmas still happening. Relax. The other things popped up, but I promise you, I'm getting them done. It's a lot, it's really a lot of work to do the whole videos and then alive and take care of 3 kids and cook dinner and go Christmas shopping and work full time. And so it's a lot. Just bear with me. I may be a little slow, but but it'll all get done. Colburn is suing Netflix. Yeah, but the question is, why did they switch the car? And have that hot hair too. They see exactly, and getting ready takes forever. She's researching Gacy right now, and yesterday she did. Yeah, I just uploaded a video of Son of Sam, but I do want to do the Santa Claus murders in Georgia. It's a really interesting case. The RAV was never Teresa to begin with. Maybe maybe never switched. Oh, Holly, you're saying like the RAV4 she never owned to begin with? Anything's possible. Oh. See, there you go, Donna Marie. I don't even think any of the bones are Teresa's. No, I do. I think they do. Thank you, Steve. But I have 4 kids, so I get it. Exactly. Black Talk Radio is a create your own radio show platform. This was some independent idiot. So yeah, she has no listeners except us. Well, she said that. She kind of made, a point to say that. Will Netflix turn the defamation lawsuit into a new Netflix original? They might. You never know. I think I personally think it's the stupidest thing Colburn could have done. Because even if Colburn is innocent, let's just give him the benefit of the doubt he's innocent. He's opening himself up to the entire department. And the entire department is not innocent. So I don't get what he's doing. But that's what I'm saying. Even if he did win, people are going down. But the only thing, in my opinion, the only thing Netflix has to prove is that, one, he's perfectly legit cop, which he's not, because we know from 1985 he covered up something, which is going to lead Netflix investigators to find out why he covered up and who came after him, and that's going to fall down on Kosarik. And then you have the flip side of that, and you're going to have they have to prove that what you call it? Oh my God, now I forgot. No, Colburn's not retired. I forgot what the other thing was. I don't know. I'm getting tired, but I know the one thing that has to be that he'll never win, because once they find out that he's done this before and it was a cover up before, he's not getting money. He's fucking crazy if he thinks he's getting money. Oh, and that's the other thing. Netflix is a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Does Michael Griesbach really think that he can beat a multi-million-dollar corporation? Speaking of, let me show you the letter. And I'll show you guys a video on this too. So mad. Yeah. But I'm still going to try to get him. Move Marissa. All right. Can you guys see that? You can picture it. Basically, he just says that, I'll read it when I'm done. Can you guys see that? All right. So he says, Laura, I don't know if you've heard, but I filed a defamation lawsuit on behalf of Andy Colburn yesterday. I'm sure you could steer clear of that, but I'm concerned about doing an interview so close to our filing. I declined lots of news media interview requests yesterday because I don't want to distract from my client's lawsuit. I'm still willing to interview, but not for another 3 months or so. My apologies for this, but it can't be helped. All best, Michael. So mad. Think he ran it by the sheriff before he started the lawsuit. I don't know. Donna, I would hope he did, but Kosorik's retired already. So I honestly don't know what they're thinking. He did. I think so too, Cindy. He's opening up Pandora's box. Joseph, I didn't think he would cancel until Colburn's lawsuit. I knew once Colburn's lawsuit happened, he was going to cancel. But I think I'm not worried about him coming back. But once I saw Colburn's lawsuit and he was representing him, I'm like, man, he's going to cancel. I'm just waiting for the letter. That's what needs to happen. We need to throw them and start throwing stones at each other. They're like besties. Oh, no kidding. What show? My show right here. I was Crystal Bell. I spoke to Griesbach. Griesbach had agreed to come on the show. We were setting up a time. So I sent him an email this morning just to double confirm, because I knew that he filed this lawsuit with Griesbach. And that's the letter I got back. So I'm going to still try and talk to him. I'm still going to try to say, like, I'm not even going to mention the lawsuit. I just want to talk about the Avery case. So we'll see what happens. Griesbeck was a Wisconsin prosecutor, like buddies. Yeah, I don't know why he picked Griesbeck. I just don't get it. I'd wondered about that for years if it went cold. I'm gonna get Ken on. My boy. I bet Ken, we're friends. Remember, I asked you the one and only question on the radio show. We're buddies. Leah's gonna be like, that stupid bitch. Yeah, I don't even know what it's at. Guys, we're only 70 left. In 70 more, we're at 5,000. And then we do a giveaway. This is giving me goosebumps. My mom and I are watching you. Will there be another part? What do you mean another part? Because Griesbeck was already involved in the Triangle of Evil. Plus, from what I hear, though, they don't like Griesbeck. From what I understand and what I've heard and research that I've done, they think he's a traitor. Another part. Yeah, there's plenty more of this series, Taylor. Plenty. Taylor, if you're brand new, the whole thing is I was doing 12 nights of Christmas and talking about different serial killers every night. Then this got changed with like the last couple of days. Well, I did a Son of Sam video yesterday, but a couple of things changed, and then this came up tonight, and so yeah. But up until Christmas Eve, I'll be live every night or have a video every night. These lives are killing me. Or have a video every night, but you'll see me every night till Christmas Eve. Griesbeck is the one that Michael Griesbeck was the DA that wrote a book about the corruption of Stephen Avery's first trial. But on a second trial, he believes Stephen Avery's guilty. They probably started lawsuits. They have an excuse not to talk before the trial. Which is most likely to be in 2050. I agree with that. Okay, Krista. But guys, make sure you subscribe. There is, for those of you that are new, at 5,000 subscribers, I'm setting up a wheel where you can win. I'm totally not sure if I'm doing one prize of 100, 2 prizes for 50, 4 prizes for 25. I don't know yet. I got to talk to Marissa and figure out what way we're going to do it. But either way, there's money going to be out. Sending you guys either 25 to 4 people, 50 to 2 people, or 100 to 1 person. But you got to be in it to win it. You have to be a subscriber, and you got to spin the wheel. I would like a new mattress. I don't need a new mattress. Actually, I have a great mattress. Zellner will probably rep Netflix. Oh my God, that would be hysterical. Griesbeck has acknowledged that evidence planning took place in an interview with the Chicago Tribune. He says it wasn't JL and AC though. Okay, whatever, dude. How do we spin wheel? It's going to be set up through my OBS. They have a wheel with prizes, like a spin wheel with prizes. So disappointed about his cancellation though, but tonight made up for it. I agree, but I think I could still get him as long as I promise him that I will not discuss the case. Like, honestly, I don't care about the fucking Colburn case. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect Steven. It doesn't affect anybody. Am I curious about it? Yeah, I'm curious, but not enough to like ask him about it. I say send 100 to Steven's parents. Miss Cobra, believe me, they are getting plenty from Carla. They found porn in Brennan's cell and took away his phone privileges. That is true. Did I hear Amazon gift card? However way, we could do it a million different ways. I'll take 4 prize for 25 for the better odds. When was what? Give away KK's book. No thanks. None of us will bring up the case if he comes on. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm totally trust you guys that I could tell him that and you guys will, honor that. And that's what I'm going to tell him. How about 100 people get $1? Nah. Prisoners that porn all the time. Holly, I said the same thing. I don't get it either. They like have a hard on for him or something. But now he's with Kratz Watts every day. Trolls would be the only problem. I haven't had an issue with trolls yet, though. Not during interviews. Marissa and Phoebe have been right on top of them for an interview. Marty Tankleff asked me, what kind of feedback he got today. And I told him, I said, everybody loved you. Everybody, was totally interested in what you had to say. And he's looking to come back again. And Ferrick also said he would come back after Zellner files. Hey, by the way, did anybody get confirmation that Zellner postponed it? People kept saying yesterday that someone kept saying, Marissa, somebody kept saying that Buting kept saying that it was postponed. I bet Watts is segregated. They don't like child killers. Yeah, I agree. Did anyone hear any confirmation on that, if it was postponed? That's what I was asking, if she was up against the 20. I don't know. Oh, it is postponed, Joseph? Buting tweeted. Oh, now it's Irikos and Travis. It's not just Irikos. Buting tweeted it and Zellner retweeted his tweet. Oh, she did. So it is postponed. Yeah, when they find the QTs need merch. We're a little soon for merch. Mugs and tees. When I hit 10,000 subscribers, I'll get some merch. I'm not that humbled. But is that what we're gonna call us, the QTs? I'll deal with that. I like that. But can the guys deal with purple merch? Because of course it's got to be purple. Oh, no. I'm not saying that not to like them. I'm just saying usually it's Irikos is going live. Now people saying it's Travis and Irikos going live. That's all I meant. Yeah, I like the QTs too. Purple ties, Brian. That's perfect. Perfect. But actually I'm glad they're going live because there's so many people still in here. I feel bad leaving, so I'm kind of glad that they're going live. Nah, Missy, it's true. I do know a lot of guys that like purple. I call this late for work tomorrow again. Oh, Kevin, you missed my call? I spoke to Ken Kratz. I was the only person that was allowed to ask him a question. If he even knew it was me, he probably would freak. My son will rock purple if you make child size. Of course I'll make child sizes. Real men do wear purple. I asked him very professionally why that I have a criminal justice background and I don't understand why he needed her vibrator and her pap smear, because in the history of criminology, I've never heard anyone ask for that. And he gave me this long-winded answer and then he stopped. When did they find porn on Brendan's phone? Oh, I don't know if it was on his phone. I posted a video, I think it's about a month or two ago, that the guards wrote him up for having an extra piece of French toast and they busted him for porn. And he was locked down for a day or something. Yeah, it's a bit early. I wouldn't get merch at 5,000 subs. 10,000, I would probably get a little. I'm humble, guys. I really am. like 100,000 subs, yeah, I can order some, a line of, if I'm doing it full time and it's my only job is YouTube, yeah, I can totally do full merch. But I'm humble like that. Thanks, Steve. They want to make a bad boy file on Brendan. I know, it's ridiculous. When his biggest crime is French toast. I mean, come on, really? You should do dog clothes. Mama, I will do that. That I will do. Total dog clothes. Holly, you forgot to click like. Can I send you a custom t-shirt? Absolutely. I'm all for taking stuff. Uh-oh. Not a lot. I'm certainly nowhere near quitting my day job. I guess they're trying to keep MAM3 from happening. Possibly. Huge kudos to you too, Paul. Pauline, Paul. I just call you Paul. There I just did. Thanks, Holly. My dogs are all sizes. Yeah, Buka's large too. Buka like extra, extra large. Jill, who's who? Buka? Buka's my big dog. So if it got postponed, when is it? Did it say when it was happening? We need a tagline like my favorite murder podcast. They have stay sexy and don't get murdered. What's ours? I saw a what you call it? I saw a what's it called? A cover. I made a cover in one of the groups that says wine and crime. That's not bad either. But then people might think we're a bunch of alcoholics. But we can come up with a good name. We definitely need we need a tagline, and James is right. Don't sweat it. That would be hysterical. Or whiners. We could do whiners. I like wine and crime. Don't sweat it. I love it. I think that could work. I really think that could work. We have to put in the QT somewhere, though. It does work, doesn't it? QT's wine and crime. Don't sweat it. I think it's pretty good. I don't know. Twerk it a little, see what happens. Tweak it. You may regret the sweated part, right? QTs don't sweat it. That's a good one too. QTs don't sweat it. I like that. There's a podcast called Wine and Crime. Damn. You need PJs. You definitely need PJs. PJs are like way up the road though. That's like 50,000 subscribers will make PJs. Donna says purple vibrator merch. And send one to KK's wife. Let me know, girl. I'll make your first custom and send the file to whoever you bulk printing. Awesome. If state objects, could still avoid evidentiary hearing if trial court judge refuses. Test based only on legal arguments if she is all motion so far. So there's no date? So all right. So let's back up a second. So she says yesterday, the 99% chance it'll clear and blah, 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 blah. And she said that it has nothing to do with the old motion because the old motion is old evidence and this is now brand new evidence. But yet she changes the date on the motion. Am I reading this correctly? I don't even know who Deadbug is. So basically everything she said yesterday is meaningless. And I'm not stating that, I'm asking that. Like, to me, everything she said yesterday was bullshit then. Do you think we'll ever see this poor man freed? I certainly hope so, Bobby, but I can't say for sure. I really have my doubts. Still waiting for the court. No, I know she's still waiting for the courts to approve the new DNA testing, but she just said yesterday that she didn't need the court. I mean, not that she didn't need the courts, that the brief was already filed and it has nothing to do with the new testing because that's technically old evidence being filed on the 20th. Even as right test evidence, it was declared back in 2007. Okay. Yeah, Don, and you guys heard me fight with him. I absolutely don't think it's huge. And I am more convinced of that now. Someone asked that in the feed, but I'm not seeing an answer. More tests be done on the RAV for real pain. She hasn't gotten the pain yet. She hasn't gotten the RAV4 yet. When a motion is filed in CT app, all time deadlines automatically stop until it's decided. They haven't decided yet. And no, I understand all that. But what I'm saying is she said yesterday clearly that it has nothing to do with the new motion. And because the old motion is old and the new motion, the new evidence is new and the stuff being filed on the 20th is considered old. She just said that yesterday. I didn't save her tweets, but I will find it. I know it still has to be approved first. That I get. But she was saying that it's not coinciding with each other. Holly, that's what I was saying yesterday that's how me and Travis got into a fight because he was saying how huge it was. I'm like, no, it's not. I was like, it's not so huge because it has to be approved first. You need approval before it goes huge. If once it's approved, it could be big. But if someone tells me I'm getting $1,000, I'm not going to spend that money before I have it in my pocket. That's kind of how I feel. What do your kids think as far as guilty or innocent? They just say more Stephen Avery. You give today sunshine. Talk to Kratz. You're right on time, lady. Thanks. It's to advance the chances of a new trial and complete exoneration. 22,000-page document at the end of this month based on new evidence. I think so far the contents of the evidence are not approved. He said it's used because the FBI used it in a recent... Doesn't... And my neighbor just won $1 million spinning a wheel. It doesn't matter. Until it's in your pocket, it's meaningless. Thank you, Jill. And don't get me wrong, I'm not like saying anything about Travis. Travis is an attorney. I will absolutely give him that. But I'm not one to sugarcoat anything, and I'll call a spade a spade. Lawyers tend to sugarcoat things. I don't. Because I'm not a lawyer. I don't have to play by lawyer rules. And it's bullshit. Her whole announcement was pointless. She even said it in MAM2 yesterday. MAM2, the same thing. It's not even new. So when it's in our pocket and they approve it, boom, then it could be huge. But until it's approved, it's not huge. Oh, you missed it. Allie, you guys can say what you want. It's not huge until it's approved. Nothing. It's once it's approved, it's big. Until it's approved, it's pointless. I'm not going to argue this. I know I'm right. They're still Avery, and they do. Purple panties and boxers with QTs on the front and sweating on the back. I don't know if I want sweating on the back. She said it. We can say what we want, just like Falcon. That's right. I don't believe in it's the only example I can give is just like winning a lotto. If you know you won the lotto, but you're waiting for the money to come in, do you go out and buy a house before it comes in? Of course not. You wait until that money is in your hand and then you go buy your house and then you go spend the money. That's all I'm saying. Nothing is major until it's in your pocket. Until it's there, it's pointless. And nothing will change my mind on that. She even said in MAM2 that she was going to test those bones, but she needed approval. So that's what I'm saying. It's not new. It's not huge. And I'm sticking with it. They were already working on or in agreement to test pelvic bones, so it shouldn't be hard to get other bones to test. Definitely don't put sweating on the front. Falcon, I kind of do think you're right. I don't know if she's stalling, but she's not approved yet. Miss Cobra, I believe you. Time bad, keep it up. Thank you, James. I'm completely destroyed. I've been going for 2 days, no sleep. Allie, you missed it. I spoke to Kratz and everything. This has gone on 3.5 hours already. You totally missed it. I was the only person to actually speak to Kratz. Tech that is approved and accredited with the US. Some states use it also. Oh yeah, it's definitely new technology. But I'm saying that it's not the first time she even talked about it. She talked about it before. But why would she want to prove those bones are Teresa's? Doesn't that worsen? No, Rusty. To prove those bones are Teresa's means that it didn't. The narrative that Ken Kratz said and the whole reason they were busted, that she was burned in Teresa's pit, makes it that it is, makes it where she is, that she was killed somewhere else. That's the whole narrative. I totally agree, Brian. Yeah, it doesn't change evidence, but it changes the narrative that put them away. What I asked her on Twitter yesterday, though, was even with it, it still doesn't mean that they didn't kill her. That was loud thunder. It doesn't mean that they didn't kill her. It just means that somebody else set them up. But she answered me and said, no, it does change the narrative. The narrative didn't convict them. The evidence did. No, it's kind of the narrative. Allows reasonable doubt. Good night, Allie. Go pass out. It would be the complete opposite of Pratt's narrative of what happened. Exactly, it would be. Laura's one question. Kratz got pissed off too. Loved it though. It was awesome. The storytelling convicted them. BD said that SA placed bones in the quarry. Yeah, Allie, go get some sleep. There you go again, Falcon. The evidence creates the narrative. Yeah, I agree with that. I hope your boss isn't expecting you on time. I know, right? And I have so much energy, though. You have to create a narrative without witness, smoking gun. Absolutely. Kratz didn't address anything because she didn't ask him anything. You should tell these people to stop advertising for Eric. I'm not saying a word, Missy. Silverback, I know what she's saying, though. She's not saying that, not to go over there. I even said, I'm the first one to say everyone should go watch him and stuff. But the last couple of days, it's been a little unprofessional coming from people. So I think that's all Missy was saying. And I honestly, I happen to agree with Missy. Bye, Kim. Cocktail tonight. No cocktail. A lot of false and planted evidence is what convicted him. I thought the coroner was being pulled off stand was very telling. I agree with you. I like that she said that. Yes, it is. What, Silverback? It changes the narrative. It changes the narrative somewhat, but it doesn't necessarily change the primary burn location. It just means that bones are in 3 locations, not 2. Silverback, were you meant me? Oh, but Missy said yes, it is. No, it's not a competition. I don't think it's a competition. I'm not in competition with them. I think, a lot of our viewers are shared, and I'm totally okay with that. But you don't see people doing it in his room, what they're the last couple of days they're doing in here. So I think that's what she meant. And that's awesome, Silverback. That's not what she meant. I get what she's saying, though. I really do. Yeah, good night to all. Good night, Cindy. Perplex QT's always late for work. I know. Nah, he was cool. What's your thought on what Kendrick said? 7 pages. Yeah, I didn't get the whole 7 pages thing. Wasn't it like 85 pages? He was using her bones like confetti and just throw them around, burn some. Mabel Sorority Brothers, pretty sure it's a deep rabbit hole. There's definitely, I'm telling you, because Sorek is at the top, regardless of what anyone thinks, because Sorek is the top. Good night, Barbara. I absolutely believe that. Playlist. Look who shows up. Playlist. Teresa never left Avery Salvagard. Falcon, you have a friend. Playlist is your buddy. Yeah, Marissa's right. The 7 pages or 8 pages he was referring to, he was talking about the judge's response. Because at first my mouth dropped. I was like, she only read 7 pages? Oh my God, that's wrong. You can't do that. So yeah, but Marissa actually said he was talking about the judge's response. Stevie, it's totally okay to love both of us. I want everyone to love both of us. I want everybody to love both of us. That's not what Missy was saying, though. I do get what Missy was saying, though. I honestly do. True narrative is Mayberry. There's body language experts on YT that make some great observations about all the players involved. Avery's telling the truth. What? There's body language experts on. Oh. Yeah, but then you also have body language experts that say that he's full of shit and he's lying. And to play a guilter for a minute, let me just play devil's advocate. He did spend 18 years in jail. He's going to learn how to lie. He's going to learn to have good body language. He's being told what to do, when to shit, how to eat for 18 years every single day. So I don't give any credibility to body language on either end. You didn't step on anyone's toes, Steve. Phone records prove she left the ASY. Yeah, playlist. That's another thing. There's too many things that prove that she left. And whether she left and came back, that's something different. But too many things say that she left. So I do agree that she left. And even on Brendan's first interview on the 4th, the very first interview on the 4th says that Brendan left. I mean, that Stephen Avery was not her last appointment and then left. So I do agree with that. Falcon support 90% of play. Right. Let me just say Playlist is like Falcon, except he knows more about the case. Because Falcon's new. But Playlist again has always been respectful. I don't know if it's a Playlist. Are you female or male? Because I don't know what to call you. Are you male or female? That's all I need to know. Because I always say he, she. But Playlist has always been extremely respectful, never had a problem. He's not a troll or she's not a troll. He's always been wonderful. So no bashing Playlist. I have no problems with him or her at all. Just tell me if you're a male or female. And Playlist, no, it is not the same car. You know me. I have said from day one, these people are fucking crazy. It's totally not the same car. I mean, it's totally the same car. You know me. I've called them conspiracy theorists for it, but I'm telling you, it's not the same car. It's not one Rav. I'm serious. You have to look what I saw last night. It's not. There are two totally different colors, not in the light or anything. Playlist, are you male or female? I just don't know if to call you he or she. Just say it. Exactly. I do respect others' opinions. You'll see. Are you male or female? You'll see another Rav will not appear. What do you mean? Cousin it. I'm just going to say cousin it. You're right. 100% cousin it. Yeah, I'm telling you, Rebecca, I did not buy it. Totally did not buy it. Absolutely no way, no how. It's the same stupid car. You guys are fucking crazy. No way, no how. But I think there's some merit to it. The car that they have is blue. She did not have a blue car. We are family, Stevie. My superpower, if I could have one, would have the ability to catch every single murder of every unsolved crime. That would be nice. You should review and share more information from the book. Wrecking Crew is very enlightening. One of these people getting arrested for their crimes. I actually do have a lot of notes printed from the beginning. And I can definitely do that. But by the way, while there's still 100 of you left in here. So Friday night, instead of doing the typical pajama party, I'm going to start earlier because I have a panel talking about JonBenet Ramsey. I have two very, very intelligent researchers that see the case totally differently. One lives in Colorado. One lives, I forgot where Ryan lives, but they both claim to know the case better than anything, better than anyone, and they both have completely different opinions. So it's going to be a really good show Friday night, so make sure you don't miss it. Our Gov is now gender neutral, so it's funny when you go in and say you're looking what his parents' name. I know, I always say he or she. The fact I was hoping it was going to be a sexy pajama party. I'll be here Friday. It should be really good. It's going to be earlier, though, because Aftershock can only do it from like 7 to 9. So, Marissa, we can have that sexy PJ party after 9, which I normally start at 9 anyway. So, it still works out to be the same. No, I think it'll be really good. I'm going to sit back and just be like a moderator because I don't know that much about the case. I mean, I know like just what everyone else does, but I don't know the details like they do. Thank you, Kevin. The kind of lady. I'm just a kind of lady. Don't worry, Kevin. I know what you meant. Now, it should be really good. It should be a good show Friday. But since you can go early, that'll be like the first 2 hours, and then we'll do it after. Pajama party where cocktails come out. That's correct. Does someone get shot and not leave any DNA or blood in the building, or were they murdered? Try again. I'll join with mine in hand. Hell yeah. Kevin, I know what you meant. This kind lady. But typos are funny when it says kinda. Do they believe? No, they believe totally opposite theories. One that lives in Colorado believes that Patsy did not write the note and none of them are guilty. And she swears she knows the case inside and out. And Ryan has the exact opposite theory. And he swears he knows the case inside and out. So that's why I think it'll be really good. And they're both really cool. I mean, I've known both of them for a long time. So it'll be a good talk. Did they use luminol in the garage? In Avery garage? I think in Avery, not in Dassey. But that's like Ken talking like, are you fucking kidding me, Kratz? When he was saying, oh, there's no footprints. There was no, bitch, you brought it in with you. I mean, this is like, you don't have to be rocket science. From now on, I want you to refer to me in gender neutral terms only, Laura. Okay. Ken the Luminol Daddy Garage or Dassey? See how good I am? I can read through these things. She writes Luminol Daddy Garage now, but I knew she meant Dassey. They can. I thought she was going to. Good night, girl. Good night, sleep. Go have fun at Iricos. I'm shutting down soon anyway. This is going almost 4 hours. Come on, but I know. I wish you would answer. They said he cleaned the blood with bleach. I don't get it. I never understood the bleach thing. Yeah, I never understood the bleach thing either, honestly. It was so crazy. So stupid. I guess playlist will forever be it. He still won't answer. Teresa's DNA was on the bullet in the garage, so you're wrong that no DNA was left in the building that Teresa was shot at. Playlist, come on, really? They found a bullet in March. They arrested him in November. Do you think through a winter and all of a sudden this bullet's going to miraculously appear because Brendan told them so? Come on. You can't. You're a smart person. You can't believe that. Hey, wait, I just thought of something. Maybe playlist is Ken. Playlist is Ken Kratz. How do I know this? Because he wasn't around all night. And now all of a sudden after the interview, probably put his wife to bed and now shows up again. Playlist is Ken Kratz. Done. I'm convinced. Ethel, I'm glad you caught that. It didn't miraculously appear. It did miraculously appear. No, Falcon, it did miraculously appear after Brendan's confession in March. In fucking March. They shot her supposedly in October. You're too funny, Lori. I know, right? Regardless, there was DNA. You have to overcome the evidence. Come on, it's not going to do it. Playlist. I'm going to present to you the exact same question I asked Ken Kratz. Why did you need a vibrator? And why did you need a pap smear? And on top of that, why later on in the interview did you turn around and say that you didn't have DNA from her to plant DNA on a bullet, which is complete bullshit because you had tons of DNA from her? If you're not Ken Kratz, then I will speak to you in third person. Change everything I just said to Ken. Can we go early and call LK and congratulate him on his not guilty one of these days? FL was a sequel to Pam of God, Divine Intervention. Absolutely. Absolutely was. There's no other way to put it. I mean, you just can't put it any other way. Kratz vibrator, Kratz pap smear. Exactly. That was answered. The wanted DNA from an intimate could link to TH. Falcon, I'll buy that. Okay, I will buy that, except for one factor. What intimate did they need on a dead body? What if it was a guy? And I didn't get a chance to ask him to rebut him. What if it was a guy murder? Since when do they need intimate fucking details? And since when do gynecologists save pap smears? Once it comes out clean or not, you're done. It's the stupidest thing he said. Can you prove Teresa's DNA was on the vibrator? Yeah, that's another thing. Underwear anywhere else, because you're going to be told there was none. Playlist, unless she never used all right, let me answer this. This is a good one. Can I prove that Teresa's DNA was on the vibrator, underwear, anywhere else? All right, let me start with the vibrator. If she never used it, okay, let's just assume she never used it, so there was no DNA on it. The fallacy in that is Ken already said that they needed the DNA to match an intimate profile or whatever. So that means they found DNA on it. So yeah, that's already been proven. Her underwear was dirty. Ryan gave him 7 pairs of dirty underwear because she didn't do laundry. For a woman to have 7 pairs of underwear and not be able to find one DNA on any of it, she would be the cleanest bitch ever in the whole entire universe. That's not true, because they needed that evidence too. So yes, I can prove that there was DNA on that vibrator and underwear, period. Guy could have a vibrator too for intimate source. That's a good point, Brian. You're right. I'm telling you, John, I think he is. Wouldn't the pap smear be enough? All of it would be enough. Like one or the other would be enough. Because Kenya likes them dirty. Antemortem DNA was necessarily. Hey, sweetie, why did this just come up about the bone testing? Why is Kathy so confident about all this? Abbo, I don't know. For that answer, you may want to go to Irikos's channel right now, because me and Travis are debating on this. He says it's huge. I don't think it's huge at all. So I don't know. But I don't have those answers. Plus they had, yeah, exactly. They had her toothbrush, they had her dirty underwear, they had everything. They had so many sources of DNA. What's your question in aid of what, Falcon? Kratz can't prove his ass from his face being the same. That's true. They have found killers like ear through familiar DNA, and that was enough to get a lead to a suspect. Hairbrush and mother's DNA would have sufficed. Absolutely. She knows something's up. She's too confirmed. Yeah, but Abbo, what I'm saying is she postponed the 20th now till further date to see if she can get this new testing. My whole thing on this testing, and if you weren't here, you didn't know, it's like if I won $5,000, am I going to go spending $5,000 before it's in my hand? Fuck no. Because what if I don't get it? What if it gets lost in the mail? What if something? I'm going to wait until I have that $5,000. Then I can go shopping. So I feel like Zellner is jumping the gun, and everybody's saying it's such a big deal. And it probably is a big deal once she gets confirmation that it's approved. But until she gets that approval, it's nothing. And that's what me and Travis and Irikos, well, not Irikos, but that's what me and Travis keep fighting about. I know she's no dummy, but it's not about her. It's about waiting on approval from the Twisted Wisconsin, which is not so easy. Where are you headed with the question, revibrator pap, etc.? I mean, where was I headed? There was no reason for them to want that. And then for him to blame Kratz to blame Zellner for it, how she made it public. Yeah, it's all her fault. You said my last name right. You're awesome. Abo? How else would you say it? Ken Kratz is dirty pervy falcon. That's exactly right. She will have no problem getting the approval. She got it back in 2017. Yes, but remember something about 2017. In 2017, she wasn't this close. They had no worries in 2017. Brendan was locked up. Stephen was locked up. They didn't care. So they gave her, a little leeway. Let's do testing. Then she filed these motions and they got bitch slapped. She got bitch slapped out of court. So what I'm saying is that in a normal court, absolutely, this would be no problem for approval. But just because they let her do it in 2017, she's way closer now than she was then. She's close to cracking this whole thing open, and a lot has happened since 2017. I don't think they're going to give her approval that easy. Good night, cuties. Good night, Stacy. See you tomorrow. I would have kept my mouth shut if that's what I'm saying, Abbo. Like, just until you have that approval, just don't say anything. Once you have that approval, say, hey, guys, I have new evidence. We're testing X, Y, and Z. This is what it means. Yeah, that's awesome. Get us excited. That would be awesome. But I'm not one to count my, spend money before it's in my pocket. I used to be, not anymore. Stace. Thanks. I don't know if it's media attention, but like she said, and I'm gonna find this to show that I'm not crazy. She said in a tweet that she said in a tweet in the answering questions, and I remember it specifically, almost verbatim. She said that there wasn't that you weren't going to have a it wasn't going to affect the December 20th because that's old evidence technically, and this is new evidence. And that changed overnight. Like by the end of the session, all of a sudden she's postponing it. Meanwhile, she just said it was old. That's why I was like, you know what? I am so right on this. Administrative hearing does not require approval. It's not an administrative hearing. She's playing a KK's affliction, narcissist break. Oh, he definitely tells different stories. We saw that tonight. You actually had a chance to speak to KK, which is cool, but you asked that question. Fuck yeah, I asked that question, Falcon. That's a major, major question. There is absolutely no reason that Ken Kratz needed a fucking pap smear from a murder victim. Absolutely none. No criminal case in the history of serial murders have they asked for pap smears or fucking vibrators from a victim. Go look it up. You'll never ever find one, ever. His story was complete bullshit. She has also said someone has told her Stephen is innocent. Someone who would know he's admitted he is innocent to her. Nah. But Renee, the problem is I have total faith in her, don't get me wrong, but she's talked so much shit that she hasn't been able to back up. Who knows what's true anymore? I'm at the point, show me. You got something? Show me. I'm all for it. Like prove it, don't say it kind of thing. Playlist. They had underwear. They had toothbrush. They had a hairbrush. In the history of serial murders, and there are tons of them, No DA has ever asked for a fucking pap smear. Ever. Find me one case that they ever asked for a pap smear or a vibrator. Just one. You won't find one. Except this one. Good night, Jennifer. When did vibrators come into the picture? when the DA went to Teresa Halbach's house after she went missing. I don't remember exactly the date, but yeah, it claims that that they needed a vibrator, they needed her pap smear, and they needed 7 pairs of dirty underwear on top of her toothbrush, her hairbrush, and everything else. It was more DNA than anyone could ever want. I think it's made public for disclosure to give the county or state a chance to object. I am at this for 4 hours and I am actually cutting it, even though there's still 100 people in here. I got to go to bed. It's 11:30. Absolutely. I'm telling you, it just doesn't happen. Did anyone know this stuff? I asked Ken Kratz tonight, and if you watch the beginning of this video, I asked Ken Kratz that very question. It's common knowledge. It was in MAM1 and a bunch of other things. Although I bet you that in cases where they required antemortem DNA for identification, a pap smear is not out of the question. I'm thinking of plane crashes, etc. Falcon, I would agree with you except for one thing. Okay, for one little thing. 4:30. One little thing, and that one little thing is I learned from a John Wayne Gacy video today that teeth cannot burn. You cannot burn calcium in a fire. Doesn't matter how big the fire is. And before 1976, there was no way to detect bones or detect bodies except for teeth. So their whole theory that he burned teeth in an open pit is absolutely unequivocally impossible. Thanks, Iggy. I'm going to storage for food. I'll see you tomorrow night. Yeah, I'm hungry too. So I think it's a good point where we all say goodbye. I got you guys. If you still raring for more, go check out Ericos. He is probably going to go for 2 hours himself. So definitely go ahead over there. I will see you guys tomorrow night. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, Donna. And Donna, thank you so much for earlier. I so appreciate it. And to all you guys that are left, and Missy, thank you for seeing that too. But for all you guys that are left, I want to absolutely thank you. You guys got me through today. Tonight got me through the day. Totally stopped thinking about it after I cried this morning and at work and everything. So for you guys that don't know what I'm talking about, today's 4-year anniversary of my dad's death. And it hits me really, really hard every single year. So for those of you friends on Facebook, I know you saw that on Facebook. And that's it. So I love you guys too. I will see you guys tomorrow night. And we still got the Santa Claus murders. We got Friday night of the John Benet Ramsey thing. And then we'll have sexy pajama party for Marissa. And I will see you guys tomorrow night. All right. Yeah, tonight was a fun night. Sorry I didn't send anything. Was that duck? Oh, Shauna, stop. Yeah, Missy, it's every year, December 18th hits me hard, like hard. So, but you guys tonight made it so much better. And thank you guys. Love you guys. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Go check out Ericos. I'm going to hit the sack because I got to be up 4:30 in the morning.